Yo, what's up? It's me, your boy, Thomas.
And I'm Ethan!
Oh no, my alter ego is talking to me out loud now.
Welcome to the new year. Welcome to episode 25 of Screen Weens.
It's not the new year when we're recording this, but
it's pretty much the 30th, so.
Yeah, we got tomorrow, and then after that.
And after that, it's 2020. Next decade.
Oh, man.
Crazy.
How we attach the idea that it's going to be any different from this one. At least it won't be at first. It'll be a slow transformation. I agree.
Yeah. So, yeah, we watched a ton of Kurosawa.
Yes, we did.
Like 14 hours worth or something like that, or 12 hours.
Yeah.
We watched from earliest to newest, it was Drunken Angel, Ikiru, Seven Samurai, High and Low, and then Ron. So we'll be talking about that soon. But Thomas, what else did you do this week?
I worked.
Nice.
I listened to a lot of Macaulay Culkin's podcast.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is it pretty good?
It's
What's it called? Bunnies?
Bunny Ears.
Bunny Ears.
Yeah, it's pretty
Macaulay,
entertaining.
get on our podcast, man.
Come on. I mean, I know that we didn't say good things about My Girl, but I mean,
That's
you
not
were
your fault.
Yeah, you were young, and it
Just don't get me started on Home Alone either. He's fine in that too, though.
Yeah, no, he's
the problems I have with Home Alone aren't because of him.
It's the script.
Yeah, it's the movie.
Yeah, I mean, Home Alone 1's pretty bad, but Home Alone 4, that one's pretty good. You gotta admit.
Is that the one where, like, they're terrorists, pretty much?
It's like a smart
like the
house.
FBI shows up. Oh, maybe I'm thinking of 3.
The one with the toy car?
I think so.
Yeah, that's 3. I was a big Home Alone fan.
I don't think I've ever seen 4. Wait, when did it come out?
Like, based off the house I was living in when I watched it, I would have been in kindergarten or first grade. So, like...
So I could use it for my pick.
For a modern pick?
Yeah.
I mean, I think we'd want the context of the first 3 before we ever did the 4th one.
No. Well, I mean, it's a different character.
No, it's Kevin.
Is it? Like, is it supposed to be Kevin?
I think it is. I think it's like a shifting timeline kind of thing. And they've got
Tobey Maguire playing him.
Gordon Stewart? I don't know the guy's name. The dude from, like, Third Rock from the Sun and Inspector Gadget. The first one.
Matthew Broderick?
The second one. The second Inspector Gadget.
I haven't seen it.
Well. Yeah, he's an actor who's in things.
Oh, acting.
Yes.
Interesting. Wow. You know what I did?
Watched some movies.
I did watch some movies, Thomas.
Oh, yeah?
I watched... Parasite is no longer my favorite movie of the year.
Oh, yeah, I saw that you were, like, raving over
Little Women.
Little Women.
Little Women blew me the fuck away. I was like, what the fuck? It knocked my fucking socks off.
Have you ever, like, read the book?
Nope, but literally, as soon as I walked out, I ordered a copy of it.
Nice.
Of the book, so it should be here in like a week. And I was planning on watching the other adaptations before I saw the movie. I was just busy, but I'm going to now. But now I'm just afraid that they're just not going to be nearly as good.
Ah.
I also saw Uncut Gems that same day.
Oh, nice.
That was very fun. Well, not really fun. Because it's a stress movie, like Good Time.
Ah, good. I'm gonna try to see that one tonight.
Nice.
One of its later showings at the Olympia Mall.
I was a big fan of it though. Lots of fun. And then I finally got around to watching Marriage Story, the new Noah Baumbach film, and That's fucking fantastic as well. That's one of my favorites as well now.
I'm aiming for that to be the first movie I watch in 2020.
Nice.
To kick off my goal of 600 movies for the year.
Yeah. I feel like I might ease back a bit, but like it was never like my intention to watch like it wasn't my intention to watch. My goal had been like 720 or 730 films, but I didn't have that until like more than halfway through the year because I'd be like, oh, I've been watching a lot of movies this year. Mm-hmm. And I'd be like, okay, just 2 a day. Because usually what would happen is I would watch 1 a day and then I'd watch like 5 on Monday.
Yeah.
So, but I was never like forcing myself to really watch movies. I'd just be like, I want to watch a movie. And that just happened every day. I'd be like, I want to watch a movie now.
I always like find myself like going into a movie. I'm like, I don't want to like start a movie and like go through the process of it. But like once I get like past like the first 10 minutes, I'm usually pretty invested in whatever I watch. So.
Oh, and then I just watched Donkey Skin.
Oh?
I sent you a video of it.
Oh, the talking flower thing?
Yeah, so that's Donkey Skin is a famous French fairy tale from the late 1600s. Mm-hmm. And it was adapted into a French musical in 1970.
Okay.
By this director. He's done a bunch of other like famous French musicals and movies. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. So it's about a woman, a princess. Her dad, the king, is very happy with the queen, but the queen is dying. And the queen on her deathbed goes, you cannot marry again unless you find someone sexier than me. And he's like, oh, okay. And then he can't find anyone until he realizes, oh, wait, you know who's sexier than my wife? My daughter.
Oh, delightful.
So then he's like, come marry me, daughter. And she's like, at first she's like, well, maybe I should, because like I do love him. And she doesn't really like understand. She's like, well, yeah, I guess I love him, and that's what people like get married for. And then her fairy godmother shows up and she's like, what the fuck are you doing? Don't marry your dad. And then she's like, here's what you do. Ask him for a bunch of ridiculous things, like a dress that's more brighter than the sun, or like sparkles more than the moon, or stuff like that, or is the color of good weather. But he does all these things. Also, he has a magical donkey that shits out gold and diamonds.
Oh.
And her final request is to have the skin of that donkey. So he gives it to her. And then she uses it as a disguise. She like drapes it over her and she wears the donkey head on top of her head kind of thing. And she puts some dirt on her face. And then suddenly everybody just thinks she's really ugly. And I'm like, what the fuck? She looks the exact same except she has a donkey over her.
Huh.
So then she runs away and she starts working as a maid for this lady that keeps spitting out frogs whenever she talks.
Huh.
Like, she'll, like, talk, and then she'll, like, kind of do the spit thing that you do with, like, tobacco.
Yeah.
Except she'll go, and a frog will come out.
Genius.
And then a prince from another kingdom shows up, and he's hanging out, and she's, like, hanging out in her own house, like, putting on her dresses, and she's really attractive then because she doesn't have the donkey skin, and he sees her through the window, and then they start to fall in love, but without really, like, seeing each other, and she bakes him, he falls in love to the point where he's, like, sick in bed because he's so in love. And then she bakes him a cake that has, like, a love potion inside of it, which has her ring inside. Then they have, you know the scene in The Last Jedi where they, like, force Skype?
Yeah.
It happens quite a few times. Skype. They kind of do that. Yeah, they force Skype. They kind of do that. They both, like, go out of their bodies into a ghost form and then go on a ghost date together. There's a talking flower at one point, and then, you know the Cinderella thing where they're like, the person that fits this slipper is going to be the queen. It's the same thing with that, but with a ring, and apparently only she can fit the ring. And then that happens, and they get married, and then right after the wedding, a helicopter shows up in this, like, medieval movie.
Okay.
a helicopter shows up and lands, and it's the dad. And he's like hanging out with, I think he like fucked the godmother, like the fairy godmother.
Oh,
and he's like, "Oh, I'm happy to see you. We're fine now." And the movie ends.
I can't tell if I would love or hate this movie.
I really liked it. It's pretty well reviewed as well. I can't tell if it's good or though. Like, is it good? I'm not sure. But it's very bizarre. And the colors are really nice. And the costuming's great. And it's just very wacky. And I really like the music in it. It's also short. It's an hour and a half. It was on Criterion Channel. So I'm like, I'm just going to watch this before Thomas gets here. And I did.
Congratulations.
Yeah. That was a strange movie.
Yeah.
Did I watch anything else of note? The new John Mulaney special?
Oh, yeah.
Sack Lunch Bunch?
I saw the trailer for it.
It's great. David Byrne's in it from the Talking Heads.
Oh, nice.
He's fantastic.
You know,
it's really fucking... At least I really like it because I love, like, satire, and it's just a satire of, like, children's television.
Mm-hmm. You know what one of my favorite videos on the internet is? You know, have you seen that, like, Talking Heads cover by Kermit?
I don't think so.
Oh, so good.
By the way, for the podcast, at least for now, I'm going to have to dip out occasionally to go blow my nose. Because randomly my left nostril keeps getting clogged. Which is very annoying because I would rather just have both nostrils clogged. Because then I can, like, deal with it. Because they're both clogged, so it's fine. But having only one clogged is more uncomfortable for me. Because I'm like, ah! It's like, same thing with, like, your ears popping. And you're like, ah! If both of them are, like, all fucked, I'm like, okay, at least I can handle this. But it's the imbalance. I'm like, ah!
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's... I finished The Mandalorian. It was good. The 8th episode's directed by Taika Waititi.
Oh, nice.
And that's a good one. Everybody's saying that's the best episode. I don't think it's the best, but it's solid. It was pretty predictable for, like, a finale until, like, the very end where they introduced something that I haven't seen since one of the animated shows. So I'm like, whoa, dude! That's exciting, but also, like, what the fuck happened to the person who had it? So, if you know, you know. That'll be interesting when season 2 rolls around. And, yeah. That's pretty much all I've been watching. I finished, I'm caught up with High School Musical, the series.
Ooh.
Sorry, High School Musical, the musical, the series. And that's what it's called.
Oh my god, I hate that.
And Encore, which Encore, the last episode was Fiddler on the Roof. That's why when you walked in, I was like, if I were a rich man.
Ah, okay.
I love Fiddler. Have you seen the movie? I can't remember.
Yeah.
I really want to see the movie.
It was like the first show I was in, like, when I was, like, a teenager.
I was never in it, but, like, one of my ex-girlfriends, her dad played Tevye, and he was fantastic in it. He played fucking Che and Evita as well, and he's really good in that as well. I miss that guy! He was cool.
Sounds cool. Sounds wise, like the red Tevye.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta watch Fiddler on the Roof soon. The movie, at least.
It's good. It's a good adaptation.
It's by,
from the director of Jesus Christ Superstar.
What's his name? Gorgulf Margersnar.
Maybe? I don't know his name, actually. I should. Jesus Christ Superstar is one of my favorites, but...
should I jump into questions? Unless you have any other things you watched this or did this week?
Just some light gaming. So
nice. What have you been playing? Fortnite?
No. Resident Evil
3.
3, little bit of 1.
Little bit of 1. Just jump back and forth.
Yeah.
All right. First up, of course, from Pierre.
Oh boy.
What do you think was the best Air Bud movie? I have not seen any of them.
I don't, like, I saw, like, maybe a part of one of them when I was a kid. But yeah, no, I'm in the same boat you are.
Okay, I would say the one where they play, they go to space. Space Buddies. I'll go with that one.
Okay.
Oh my god, I should pick one of them for my pick today.
Oh god. I'm gonna stick with that trope that the first one is usually the best one, and just say the original Air Bud.
Yeah.
I don't know. That might not be true, but it's an educated guess.
Does Underdog count?
I would pick Underdog.
I don't think it counts because they're not in the same franchise. But I mean, they're talking dogs that do things.
I remember liking Underdog when I was a kid.
Me too. Have you ever wondered what people taste like? How would you cook and prepare if not each other? What? How would you cook and prepare? I don't know what if not each other means. I think he's asking if we would eat each other, but...
Not if I was given a choice. I've heard... The two stock answers that I've heard are either we taste like chicken, which is just kind of like the filler for everything.
Which I've never actually The one thing, I went to Mexico, I had some frog legs, and I was told they taste like chicken. They actually kind of tasted like chicken, but not I wouldn't just go, yeah, they taste like chicken if somebody asked me. Usually if people say that, they're lying.
Yeah.
Chicken tastes like chicken.
Well, chicken's kind of by itself pretty bland and pretty flavorless, so I think that's just kind of most things.
Stop using the same seasoning for everything, and then they won't all taste the same.
Exactly. But I've heard veal is the closest. That's one
I feel like humans would have a gamey taste.
Yeah.
The greatest game of them all.
Yeah, I really wouldn't want to eat human, but I don't know. Deep fried maybe? No, that too much skin. I don't know.
I'd want to eat the ass. It probably wouldn't taste good, because it'd just be mostly fat, but it'd be funny.
I don't know.
It'd be like, yeah, I eat ass.
I don't know, the fucking, ribs, maybe?
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
I don't know. If I had to choose...
Do you think David Lynch should have erased his own head? Got him.
No, I don't.
That was a real got him moment, though.
It was.
All right. We have another question from Julia.
Whoa.
Woo! Yeah, okay. 5 questions here.
Oh, shit.
We already kind of answered this last week, but I guess we can go through it again. Top 5 films of 2019.
The Lighthouse, Parasite, I'm trying to think.
Once
all the
Upon a Time in
movies.
Hollywood.
Yeah, I guess Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I've been slacking this year on the new releases.
Mine is from 5 to 1 is Climax, Knives Out, Marriage Story, Parasite, Little Women. I do think that Portrait of a Lady on Fire might be up there when I finally see it. So
Yeah, that's one that's on my watch list. Yeah, there are tons of movies that I think might be up there, but I haven't seen yet. As soon as the new year hits, I plan on busting out a lot of them. So
yeah, you're just gonna be sitting there
yeah, I'm gonna try to
have 7 movies going at once.
Yeah,
have your head connected.
7 movies going at once at 7 speed.
Yeah, screw 600 movies in a year. 600 movies in a day.
Yeah.
What are your parents' favorite movies, and what are your thoughts on those movies?
My mom's favorite movie is The Last Unicorn.
Oh.
Which I admittedly haven't watched all the way through.
I haven't seen it.
That's
a Rankin and Bass movie, I'm pretty sure. That's Danny Avedon's one of his favorite movies as well. You know him?
The name sounds...
Danny Sexbank from Ninja Sex.
I was going to say, yeah, the name sounds like terribly familiar.
It's one of his jams.
And then my dad's favorite movie... he doesn't have, like, a favorite. He bounces back between a lot of, like, the same, like, 6 movies, though. He's a big fan of, like, Tarantino. Like, he likes, like, Kill Bill and Pulp Fiction. Let's see. He likes, like, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. He likes a lot of Westerns.
My dad, his favorite movie, one of them at least, is Pulp Fiction, which I'm not a huge fan of. That's my least favorite Tarantino film of what I've seen.
It's one of my favorite Tarantino
I know.
films.
I think it's mostly because I was so, like, familiar with it growing up. So it's kind of just the boringest for me because I've seen it so many times. Or I've seen parts of it, you know. It's fine. It's just not my jam. And then my mom's one. I don't know her definitive favorite, but I know one of them at least was The Usual Suspects, which I thought was a really good movie. I don't really plan on watching it anymore because Kevin Spacey's like one of the main characters. I'm like, I'm okay.
Isn't it directed by?
Is it by
Bryan Singer?
It is by Bryan Singer. That's a double whammy
combo right there. Yeah.
Yeah. So even more so, I think I'm good. What are your top 5 animals?
Any sort of like monkey or ape.
Nice.
Number 1,
including human.
No.
Okay.
There's.
Oh, you don't believe in evolution? I forgot.
Yeah, no, God made us. Because why would there still be monkeys otherwise?
Yeah.
Like whales and dolphins and sharks, like kind of like that. I think crocodiles are pretty cool. Like zebras and giraffes. Like, I don't know. Pretty stock answers, but
You guys still doing questions?
yeah.
We have to send one in, but I got one for you guys.
Okay.
What is a scene from a movie that either really made the movie or really broke the movie for you?
Let me think about this, because this is a good question.
While you're doing that, and you think about that, I'll answer my top 5 favorite animals. My favorite animal is the glorious chicken. I've always loved chickens. My second favorite animal is the coqui frog. They're beautiful, and they sound beautiful.
Okay.
You'd hate them.
I probably would.
I also like monkeys as well. Specifically, I like the monkeys with the big faces. Like what the
Like an orangutan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else? I like dogs and cats. I'll go with that. Those are pretty cool.
A scene that I think makes a movie is, without diving too deep into spoilers, because this is a movie I want to cover on here one day, the ending to the remake of Suspiria, like that whole, like, final
Does
sequence.
that make it or break it?
Makes it. Because I was really teetering. I'm like, this is a lot of setup. This better be a good payoff, and it certainly was.
Okay.
That's like my off-the-head answer.
I don't think I think the movie would have been amazing either way. But in recent memory, Marriage Story, the scene, Adam Driver has a scene where he sings Being Alive, which is a song from Stephen Sondheim, the composer, the musical company. And it fits super well with his character in it because he's a theater director. And it also just sums up like all of the themes of the film really well. And it's a really great performance. And it's just like it really helps to tie the movie into like a really sexy little sad bow where you're just like, I want to fucking obliterate my heart.
Okay. Interesting. I look.
He's in a musical next year.
Oh yeah, what musical?
It's called Annette. It's a movie by Leos Carax. He did like Holy Motors, which I need to watch soon. He's done a couple movies. He's pretty cool. All right, let's see what else we got. Is Pierre real? What do you think of Pierre?
Is this the new meme?
I'm guessing Julia didn't watch the last podcast where Pierre asked if Pierre was real.
I believe Pierre is real.
Pierre is real.
What do you think of Pierre?
I think he's got like the personality of a shit poster.
Like David Lynch.
Yeah, especially when it comes to regards of David Lynch. But, yeah, no, he seems nice. Seems like a good guy.
Don't ever look him in the eyes.
I probably won't. I don't, unless he comes over here, I probably won't.
He might be moving here.
Oh.
Yeah, you want to move in with him? I was thinking you guys could get bunk beds.
I don't do blind move-ins.
And we could film it.
That,
like for a reality show. Or a movie. Like an unscripted film. Move in with him for a year. Cut off all contact with everyone else. Quit your job. Just live with him. It'll be unscripted. This is my movie idea, by the way. I just thought.
Oh.
Yeah, this is a great idea. So.
And
then we'll see if either of you murder each other.
Yeah.
Okay, and final question. Do you guys have an aquarium near you? I don't know why this is a question.
Yeah.
Do we?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Well, there's not... I don't know about like a legit, just like straight up aquarium.
The coffee machine is loud.
I don't know about like a legit straight up aquarium.
But we have a zoo up there.
Yeah,
I've been to that
the
one.
zoo has an aquarium. If you go to like...
Does it have penguins? Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw penguins when
I don't know.
There.
I haven't been to the zoo since I'm a little kid. I don't like zoos in principle, so I don't...
I mean, I think that some zoos are good. Because, like, if you're taking animals that are literally being poached and stuff like that.
Yeah, like, they're...
But then they're more sanctuaries than zoos kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But... yeah, I did go there when I first moved here, and I believe there were penguins, like, right at the entrance, pretty much.
There are lots of places that have, like, pretty big fish tanks, like Cabela's and, like, the sporting goods
Cabela's,
stores.
man! Let's go buy guns!
Yeah, totally.
Sick, brother.
I love my country and I love my right to bear arms.
Bear arms?
Real funny, dude. Alright, now that frantic little bit's over, where the fuck were we? Oh yeah, but, yeah. As far as I know, those are the only, like, aquariums we've got. I don't think we have any. We probably do. I mean, we live, like, right next to the ocean, so I'm sure that...
Yeah, the ocean. That's just a big aquarium.
Yeah, just...
It does have penguins if you go far enough.
That's true.
That's called using your noggin.
Yeah, that's big brain energy. Yes.
That's our transition music. Okay, I already did my movie idea. It's you and Pierre so it's real life. We set up a room. Oh, here we go. You live in a prison cell with him. Like a small prison cell. We don't let you out. We pass the food in. You have bunk beds. And you have to survive in there for, let's just say, a month. Unscripted. The only thing you have is each other's company.
Oh.
And one movie a week, but Pierre is the only one that can pick them.
No, God, no. No, I don't want that.
Have you seen the Stanford Prison Experiment, or have you heard of that?
That's not the one with the guy from Scrubs, right? That's like the Belko, whatever.
That's I think it's called the Belko Experiment.
Okay.
No, Stanford Prison Experiment was a real thing where, like, it's fucked up. Apparently it's all, like, it was faked. But you should look it up. It's pretty interesting stuff. It's pretty much like these students were supposed to be given these roles of, like, prisoners and guards, and when guards, like, were given this authority, they, like, would use it harmfully kind of thing.
Okay.
But it'll be like that. It'll be the same thing. It'll be called the Pierre de Pollo Experiment. Like, what happens when Thomas is forced into a room for a month with Pierre and forced to watch Napoleon Dynamite once a week.
Oh my god.
Actually, no. We'll up it to one. First week is just one movie. Second week is one movie a day. Third week is third and fourth weeks is you have movies playing nonstop. But it's all Pierre's ideas of movies.
Oh, boy.
Oh, no. Third week is that. Fourth week is Nickelback playing back to back.
I would kill myself. That'd be... I don't want to sound like one of
the
those...
movie
like,
just ends with Thomas in a padded room.
They're like, oh, no, not allowing that.
That'd be a good movie. I'd watch that.
I would not. Okay. My movie idea. Let's see. Okay. Follows a private detective who is investigating a, chain of serial killings against the local homeless community. But the local police department, there's a bunch of kids fighting outside.
Somebody just screamed, "Oh, fuck!"
Still screaming. Or not screaming, but yelling.
Screaming. I'm being stabbed, help me! And I'm just like, whoa, there's some funny.
There's someone yelling out there. Yeah, the local police department doesn't care about it, and this dude's just like, well, whatever, I'll get to the bottom of it. And I don't know, it turns out to be like a rich kid or something.
And that detective's name?
It's Pierre de Pollo.
Oh.
Is that his name?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to say Thomas.
No, it's Pierre.
But think about it. It could be you as the detective and E10 as the killer. It was you the whole time.
Oh.
Somebody just told me about a movie like that. Can't remember. Oh, it was my buddy that was here yesterday. I can't remember what the fuck the movie was called. I got a message him. Anyway, thank you for the questions and the movies and the da-da-da. We are the Screen Weens and we like to suck penis. Screen Weens. Do-do-do.
All right.
That's our new song.
So, someone out there add an instrumental to that? There you go. Do 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 do. Ba do 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 do. Boot do 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 do. Do. Do do do. Do 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 do. All right.
Time for Kurosawa.
Yeah, we've got a bio and 5 movies to talk about.
Yeah. Akira Kurosawa, known as
one of the most influential directors of all time.
Yeah, definitely the most well-known and influential Japanese directors, and just in general, one of the most influential.
Mm-hmm. And
possibly one of the greatest. I don't know, I really loved a lot of the stuff we watched today. Spoilers.
Yeah, I even the ones that I considered lesser out of what we watched, I still really liked.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's interesting because there's the one that I liked the least. There was a bunch of stuff that I'm just this is really good, It just hasn't been honed enough.
Yeah.
It's kind of like watching some of... Actually, it's...
I agree. If it's the same movie I think you're talking about.
It's his first... It's the earliest one we're watching.
Oh! I disagree then.
Okay.
But continue.
Interesting. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff in the first one that is like, this is gonna be really good, like, someday. Like, I still really liked it, but I'm like, this is gonna be... The whole time I was like, I was waiting for one that I would give a 10 out of 10. I'm like, it's gonna come soon. I can tell. I can feel it in my bones.
I will say, I'm not dishing out any 10s today.
Whoa!
So, there's that. But he's got a big body of work outside of this that I'm interested in checking out. And I'm hoping to find some 10s in there.
Gave one of them a 10. Do you want to guess what it is? And we'll see.
Okay. Let me think. My guess...
Here, this will be a fun game. Let's do each other's rankings right now.
Okay, so if I had to guess... Oh, man. I'd say... Probably, like... Yours would be Ran, maybe?
At the top or the bottom?
At the top. Ikiru, Seven Samurai, High and Low. Maybe like High and Low and Seven Samurai interchangeable, maybe. I don't know. And then Drunken Angel at the bottom.
Okay. For you, I'm thinking... I feel like Ran is not at the top for you. I'm thinking that's second. I'm thinking top is Ikiru. This is going to be all sorts of... This is going to be completely off. I can tell by your face. Never mind, I'm changing it. Ikiru is going to be... Fuck, what's the top? I'm going to put High and Low at the top. I feel like that'd be kind of your jam of a movie. But your face again. God damn.
I'll just
I don't think Seven Samurai is the top. And I don't think Drunken Angel is either. So one of the other three... okay, maybe it is Ran. I'll go Ran.
For my top?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll go Ran. Because you hate black and white films. We've established
that. No, they're my least favorite.
Let's go Ran. High and Low. Ikiru. Seven Samurai. Drunken Angel. We'll go with that. It's probably completely off, but that's what I'm going with.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, bro.
Do you want to reveal them now, or do you want to like wait till the end?
We'll wait till the end.
Wait till the end? Okay, because I'm sure we'll have like a sense through talking about it. We'll be like, oh, okay, I figured it out.
After we give our ratings, we'll say where it was. How about that?
Yeah.
Okay. So it'll be revealed. It'll be like a little puzzle. As we go, we'll reveal where it was.
Because my ratings might not reflect the order I put them in also.
Oh yeah. Because I tend to like the movies that I rate based on my enjoyment, and
Mm-hmm.
And you might enjoy a film more, but give it a lower rating.
Yes,
which is fair enough as well. Let me just lock in my rating real quick, just so I can prove it, so you know that I'm not fucking lying to you. You're a liar! Whoa! Okay, do you want to start off with his biography?
Yeah, I can.
This is not, like, everything, obviously, but...
Yeah, this is just some, like, light notes. A lot of the second half got kind of, like, lightly skimmed over because I was kind of running short on time while taking the notes. And a lot of it was just, like, kind of explaining, like, what happened in between his films and stuff. But I think I got, like, a lot of, like, the early life stuff, and...
I got blow my nose.
Okay.
He died?
He did. He's dead.
He died in 98, right?
Yes, I think so. Yes. Okay. So Akira Kurosawa was born on March 23rd, 1910 in the Oimachi in the Omori district of Tokyo. He is the son of Isamu, who was a member of a samurai family from the Akita Prefecture, and he worked as a director of the Army's Physical Education Institute. His mother, Shima, comes from a merchant family in Osaka, and Kurosawa was the 8th and youngest child in his family. By the time he was born, one of his siblings had already died, and 2 of them were like fully grown and out of the house.
Jeez.
His father was open to Western traditions and thought film had educational merit and encouraged his children to watch film. Akira saw his first movie at the age of 6. Growing up, he had an elementary school teacher that encouraged his love of drawing and educating, or like learning. And around this age, he also got into calligraphy and kendo swordsmanship. So, starting early. In 1923, his older brother of 4 years, basically like took him out to see the aftermath of the Great Kanto earthquake, which was a 7.9 magnitude earthquake.
That's a big one.
Yeah, that had a confirmed 105,385 deaths. Those are just the confirmed ones.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Akira wanted to look away from the corpses, but his brother was like, no, you gotta like face your fears, and like forbid him from like looking away from the corpses. Which a lot of people think that event kind of tied into like, oh shit, how he would just like kind of show lots of dead bodies in his movies, kind of like
especially in the fucking brand.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So let's see. In the late 1920s, Hygo, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that. That's his older brother of 4 years.
I'm listening. I just gotta talk to Joe Boyle.
Okay. Was a silent film narrator for Tokyo theaters and made a big name for himself. And Akira moved out to Tokyo with him and lived with him for a couple years. Akira really wanted to be a painter at this period of time, but he was having a really hard time selling his paintings and trying to get like paintings done. And in the early 30s, talkies came around and basically like put his brother out of business. So Akira had to move back home with his parents. And then, accidentally clicked on a message that took me out of the polls. Or not the polls. Out of my notes. And then in 1933, his brother commits suicide.
The one that's 4 years older than him?
Yeah.
Yikes.
And then 4 months after that, his oldest brother dies, leaving him the only male Kurosawa son living with his 3 sisters and his parents. In 1935, a new movie studio called Photochemical Laboratories, or PCL, which would later become Toho, advertised for assistant directors. Kurosawa had turned in an essay which got him to the follow-up exams, and among the examiners was a director named Kajiro Yamamoto, who took a liking to Kurosawa. I'm not sure what he directed. I didn't get a chance to look at his body of work, but he was a bigger director at the time.
What's his name?
Yamamoto Kajiro. Yeah, so basically, Yamamoto was insisted that the studio hire him, so he joined PCL in 1936. And basically, he spent 5 years doing assistant director work. He did 24 films as assistant director in this time, and 17 out of 24 of those were for Yamamoto. So he was basically the mentor who brought up Kurosawa. And basically, throughout that 5 years, he increased the amount of responsibilities and the ranking of his assistant director title. And to the point where the last film he did as assistant director, which was called Horse or Uma, which came out in 1941, Kurosawa had done most of the production for that film, while Yamamoto worked on another film. And Yamamoto passed on some advice to Kurosawa that he took very seriously, which was, every great director must master screenwriting.
That makes sense, seeing as these films are really fucking well written.
So he basically stopped being a assistant director and went on to do some writing credits, wrote for some other directors, and then he co-wrote most of his stuff. And then 2 years after he worked on Horse, and almost a year after Pearl Harbor's attack, a novelist named Suno Tomita published a book that was inspired by Musashi Miyamoto, who is a famous samurai, like the Book of Five Rings. And that book was called Sanshiro Sugata, or Sugata. I'm not sure how you would pronounce that. And basically, Kurosawa bought the book the day it launched, and he was immediately he's like, hey, Toho, get me the rights to this. And he made the movie.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that movie came out, and there were 3 parts technically, and he did the first 2.
Yeah. Which I'll get into that here in a second.
Okay, fine.
Oh, well, there's an interesting bit to the second one. So he acquired the rights and began pre-production and started shooting in December of 1942. Shooting went over smoothly, and he got the film made just fine up until it got to the point where it was post-production, and then he had a lot of hard times with the censors.
The movie was too sexy.
Too violent.
It's too sexy.
Probably.
Sexy violent.
But there was a famous director who kind of intervened and made it so that the film was able to be released. And that director was
Albert Einstein.
Yasuhiro Ozu, who does Tokyo Story.
Yeah, Ozu. I've heard great things about him.
Many other things. He's a director I plan on doing a deep dive at.
Maybe one of these days.
One of these days, yes. Let's see. But despite that, 18 minutes still had to be cut from the film.
18? What the fuck?
Yep. And that footage is now considered lost. Doesn't exist anymore.
Well, let's find it.
Yeah, it's out there somewhere.
Yeah.
Totally didn't get destroyed or anything, probably. Then he made a movie about female factory workers called The Most Beautiful, which is known to be a propaganda film.
Nice.
He did a couple.
Must be pretty good then.
Probably. Yeah, I've got his early films in a Criterion box set, which includes both the Sanshiro Sugatas and the this one and a couple other ones. And I don't. The Wikipedia article didn't mention his mindset on when he was making these, whether they were of his own accord or if it was censors in the studio telling him to make these kind of movies. If I had to guess, it was probably that, because it seems kind of out of his character to direct a film.
Looking at his other stuff, I'm
But yeah, so that happened. And the star of that movie, or I don't know if she's the star of the movie because I haven't seen it, but she plays the leader of the women workers in the movie. He went on to marry her.
Ah, yes.
And
you know who else is in that movie? Takashi Shimura. He's in all the other ones. He's the main character of Seven Samurai, Ikiru.
Okay, yeah.
That might have been his first thing with him, actually.
It makes sense. It's the second movie. But yeah, so he released that, and he got married to his wife on May 21st, 1945. They were together until her death 40 years later. She died in 1985, 13 years before, 12? 13 years before he died.
I have a fun fact about her death that's not fun.
Oh, what's that?
That was in the middle of the filming for Ron.
Ah.
And he took one day off to grieve for her. And then he's like, we got to do this. We got to keep going.
It kind of makes sense. Like, I get it. It was probably his way of working past it.
Yeah.
And being in the middle of such, like, because Ron was, in terms of production,
I have so much about production to talk about for Ron.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one to talk about. But yeah, and then he had a son and a daughter with her. Shortly after his marriage, shortly before his marriage, he directed the propagandic sequel to Sanshiro Sugata.
Yep.
Widely considered to be one of his weakest films. Kurosawa then decided to write The Men Who Tread on Tiger Tails.
I've heard that one's pretty good.
Tales.
That one's only like an hour.
Yeah. I think all of these are like only an hour.
Oh, okay.
Very close to. Which was completed on September 45th, but at this point, American occupation had begun in Japan. The American censors came around and they were basically like, ooh, man, this film's a little too feudalistic, and banned it. And it wasn't released until 52, alongside, or the same year that Ikiru came out.
Oh, wow. Fuck America.
Yeah. He made quite a few films before Drunken Angel in 1948, which is like his first kind of like really big one. And a lot of those had to like go under rewrites, and so did Drunken Angel, but this was like, Drunken Angel was like the first film he felt like satisfied with himself and was able to like kind of express himself more freely. It wasn't as censored as some of the other ones. And then Kurosawa, Yamamoto, and a few other directors formed an independent production called Film Art Association. And through this company, he made The Quiet Duel, Stray Dog, and in 1950, he made Rashomon, which blew him up and made him internationally famous. I still haven't seen that.
I'm so glad that was my first introduction.
I'm really excited to watch it. And then his like next big one was like really big one was Seven Samurai. And then he had a couple follow-ups to that didn't do as well in Japan, which was like The Lower Depths and Throne of Blood, both of which are considered to be pretty good, like,
I've heard Throne of Blood's really good. I was like, when I was picking the 5 movies, I'm just like, fuck, I want to watch Hidden Fortress and Throne of Blood and Redbeard as well.
Yeah.
I'm like, Thomas, let's just watch 8 movies.
Let's watch every
I have a feeling that, like, Bergman and Kurosawa, like, by the end of 2020, I want to watch, like, all their films.
I'm kind of on the same boat. Like, they're two directors I really want to do, like, deep dives into.
And I want to, like, see a bunch of Ozu films as well and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. But he kind of bounced back with Hidden Fortress, which later went on to, like, be a big inspiration for Star Wars.
Yep.
Mm. And then in 1959, he launched a Kurosawa production company for more creative freedom.
Mm-hmm. Good for him.
Yeah. And he kept working until 1995 when he slipped and broke his spine. And
owie.
Apparently he had a wish. Like, it was always like his dream to, like, when he died, he wanted to die, like, on set directing a movie. But basically he, like, broke his spine and couldn't go back on a film set and spent the last half year of his life, like, in bed watching movies and listening to music till he died.
I hope the last movie he watched was if he had died in 99, I was going to say, I hope it was The Phantom Menace.
Oof. No, maybe he got one of those early screenings.
Oh, maybe the last movie he watched was Puppet Master 5.
What was it? Oh, 98, was it?
Think so.
Oh, shit. I thought that would have been, like, early 2000s.
I don't know. Let me check. Puppet Master 5. Puppet Master Fight was 94.
Okay. I know, another thing I left out of there. I know
There was a Puppet Master film every year for the first, 6 years.
disgusting.
Yeah.
When he was making Dreams, I think the budget for that started getting, out of hand to the point where, the studio wasn't willing to pay for it, so he had to, convince Steven Spielberg to convince, Universal to do, an American release of it. That way the budget would be increased. And, that's kind of
If I was Steven Spielberg, I'd just be like, here's money. You can have all my money.
Yeah, Steven Spielberg should have done it, but he didn't.
Yeah, Steven Spielberg and George Lucas both did some producing on some, Kagemusha, I think it's called, Kagemusha. I'm pretty sure George Lucas, produced that.
Oh, okay.
Which is funny. I guess I'll wait until we talk about Ron. There's something that he said about Kagemusha, about Ron, that's pretty, amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, so Akira Kurosawa, very cool dude, very hip, very hop, very swag, very suave.
Very dead.
He is very dead. He's been dead for over 20 years now.
Oh, shit.
Feel old?
A little bit. Died the year after I was born.
It's just weird to think, Drunken Angel, you're like, oh, that movie's 70 years old.
It doesn't feel like it, honestly.
Yeah.
It's very, very modern feeling.
Yeah. So is, Ikiru.
Yeah, Ikiru, High and Low is pretty modern feeling.
High and Low, I'd be like, I could expect, this plot, in a movie these days.
In terms of, filmmaking and in terms of, dialogue and stuff, they're all pretty modern feeling.
And I think that's why, these directors have stood the test of time because they were so, progressive and forward-thinking with, their screenwriting of, everything. They were ahead of their time.
Yeah, they really were.
All right. We ready to talk about Drunken Angel? 1945. I believe this was the first movie, this may be wrong, but the first movie to have, what's his name? Toshiro Mifune, who would be a super long-time collaborator. He was once this started, he was in almost all of the Kurosawa films. I think he's in every single one we watched except Ikiru.
Okay.
And it also had Takashi Shimura, who was in, I believe, everything we watched except Ron, because he had already passed away by then.
Aww.
Because he passed away in 82. So.
Oh, damn.
But, so, Takashi Shimura, he plays the Doctor.
Yeah.
What was his name? Sonata, maybe?
Yeah, I didn't
Sonata.
know any of the characters' names from any of these.
And then, fucking Toshiro Mifune plays Matsunaga, who is a Yakuza member.
Yeah.
So, the film's premise is this guy, Sonata. He's a doctor. He's he's a nice guy-ish. He's a nice guy.
He's a really good guy, but he's really rough.
Yeah, he's just kind of rough. He's
he's brutally honest. He's loud. He's gruff.
He's also an alcoholic.
Yeah, very much so.
Very much so. But he has been helping these Yakuza. He's helping anyone that's injured, pretty much.
Yeah.
And so Matsunaga, who is kind of the leader, he's the leader of the Yakuza in that area. He comes around because he got shot in the hand, which at first he said he had a nail inside it.
Yeah.
He got a nail. And he pulls it out, he's like, funny looking nail, huh?
Yeah.
And they get to talking, and they find out that Matsunaga has tuberculosis.
Yeah.
And
he highly suspects it, and he listens, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, you got a pretty big hole."
And he's like, "You should go get an X-ray."
Yeah.
And Matsunaga's like, "Fuck you!" And he tries to beat the shit out of him.
He's like, "I'm not the kind of guy to get tuberculosis."
Yeah.
He's like,
I'm too strong.
There's no type. Anyone can get it. Look, I'm trying to help you. He's like, "No, I'm not dying, and I'm not afraid of dying. Don't think I'm afraid of dying." And he gets real standoffish and leaves.
And then...
I don't remember the character's name, but the his like assistant kind of like comes in the doorway like right as he's about to like kind of give the old man a thrashing, and he's like,
I think her name is Nanai.
it might be, but basically she kind of scares him away, and he's like, hey, I think it's the scene where he's like, hey, you know, you look familiar. Do I know you? And then basically she gives no response and he goes. And then, yeah, that's the first scene.
That is the first scene. This was the first one I watched, so.
This was also the first one I watched, so it's the one I remember the least. In terms of, like, it's been a few days.
But eventually he does get, like, an x-ray.
Yeah, because he has, like, I think the next scene is when he has the, like, girl come into his office, and she's also has tuberculosis, but she's kind of does what he says, and...
Yeah, she's, like, pretty much all better. Like,
yeah, she's at the very tail end, like, they're thinking, like, within, like, 1 to 2 more, like, sessions, she'll be completely, like, cured of it.
Yeah. She's like, thank you so much, Mr. Sonata!
You'll owe me, let's make a bet, and you'll owe me some sweets if, you know, if I don't have it or whatever.
You'll owe me sweets. You'll owe me lots of chocolate.
And basically, he goes to this bar, and he's like, hey, who's this, Matsunaga? Is that his name?
Matsunaga.
Yeah, he's like, who's this Matsunaga guy? Do you know where I can find him?
And they're like, yeah, but what do you want with him?
And he's like, look, I just need to find him, alright? And they're like, go to the dance hall. You'll find him there. And the bartender at this bar is, like, trying to play it off like she doesn't like Matsunaga. Clear she does.
Because he's sexy.
Yeah, sexy Yakuza guy.
He's pretty sexy. That guy's pretty hot. I gotta say, I was a fan. I was like, ooh.
He's pretty smooth. But yeah, so they get to... So he goes to this place to meet Matsunaga, and basically, like, Matsunaga comes out and he's like, look, I'm fine, whatever, it passed, whatever. And he's like, alright, can I come inside? And he's like, no, you can't come inside. He's like, well, why not? He's like, they don't allow drinking in here. He's like, bullshit, I can smell booze on your breath. By the way, you shouldn't be drinking, you have tuberculosis.
Yeah.
Just come to my office later, so we can, like, try to fix you. And so he does. He comes back later.
And he's very drunk.
Yeah, he had to get, like, shit-faced to work up the courage to, like, come.
And he had the x-rays on him, right? He had taken...
Yeah, he had gone, because there's that scene where he, like, gets on the ride with, like, the dude he went to med school with, who turned out to be, like, a more successful branch of doctor that gets, like, more money and stuff.
Ah, yes.
Because that's, like, a light kind of theme in the movie, because he talks about that briefly. But yeah, and basically he has to, like, send people to this doctor to get x-rays because he doesn't have an x-ray machine, but he's like the tuberculosis expert. So he's like, oh yeah, no, he came and he got some x-rays and I told him to go to you, it looks like tuberculosis. And he shows up drunk. And he's not willing, he's like, I tore up the x-rays, I don't got them anymore. But then he passes out and they, like, take off his jacket and like, oh, here are the x-rays, here you go, doc.
And it's out. Like this giant fucking lump.
Yeah, he's like, oh. And the dude wakes up, he's like, do you fucking see this? Are you fucking stupid? Look, I can help you if you just...
So he tells him to stop, like, drinking and also to stop womanizing because, like, he's, like, having too much sex. Like, he's doing too many, like, unhealthy things. Like,
yeah, he's overexerting himself. Yeah. Just needs to take it easy.
He, like, agrees to it because he doesn't want to die.
Yeah.
But he's, like, uneasy about it. And they kind of, at this point, this is when they start kind of getting, like, a friendship.
Yeah, because the doctor explains, he's like, look, I don't know where you're getting this mentality. I'm not, like, looking down on you for being afraid to die. You're human. We all have fears. We're all afraid to die. You don't have to be afraid to admit it. I'm not going to tell your Yakuza buddies or whatever. But if you want to live, you got to work with me here. And so he agrees. He's like, all right, I agree. And while all this is going on, there's also been a B plot surrounding doctor's assistant who used to, or she is married to like the actual boss of like the Yakuza in this area, but he's been in jail.
Were they married or were they just like in a relationship?
I just assumed they were married.
Oh, okay. I think his name's Okada.
Relationship, huh?
I think his name's Okada.
Yeah. And basically, like they're like, it's been about 3 years. He's going to be getting out pretty soon, and the doctor's like, he won't find you here, whatever. Who cares? So he gets out and he goes to meet Matsunaga, and basically, like they meet up, and they're like, I didn't realize you were out. Here, let's go, and they like go to a bar, and
he's like, it's disrespectful not to drink with me. And Matsunaga's like, I'm not going to tell him I'm dying. Because that would be like a sign of weakness and like Yakuza and stuff.
Yeah, so he takes a shot, and then he ends up getting shit-faced that night.
And then the doctor's like, fuck you!
Yeah, I'm trying, because he ends up getting, he like passes out, right? And then they have to like take him to the doctor. I believe that's what happens.
Yeah.
And then the two assistants like recognize his assistant, but can't like quite put their finger. They're like, do we know you? She just kind of is like, all right, bye. And then the boss comes by.
What, Okada?
Okada.
Yeah, Okada, and he threatens the doctor. He's like, I'll fucking kill you if you don't tell me where she is.
Yeah, because
and that's when Matsunaga's like, oh, this guy's not a good guy.
Yeah. And basically, like, so the doctor's like, whatever, I'll just go tell the police. But Matsunaga's like, no, I have to go.
Yeah, he's like, this'll be even worse for me. So he's like, I'll go talk to the big boy, like the leader of the whole Yakuza of this like whole area.
Yeah. And so
he like goes in.
The doctor tells him, he's like, don't do it, because you realize they like you because you bring in money. You're not bringing in money.
Yeah, because he's
so they don't give a shit about you. He's like, whatever. You're wrong. It's an honorable thing. He's like, no, they just tricked you into thinking it's an honor thing. So while the doctor goes to the police, he goes to talk with Okada, but he like walks in, and Okada is just like shit talking him, basically like talking about his plans to set him up as like kind of like a stand-in to be assassinated, because they're expecting his turf to be like hit
by the rival gang.
So they want to put like basically like a pawn piece there so that they can move like the higher caliber piece there after the hit and not have to like waste a good gangster, you know? And they're like, well, he's dying, so he'll perfectly fit.
Nanae wasn't the assistant. She was Matsunaga's girlfriend who leaves him for Okada.
Okay.
Which is right around this time as well. Yeah,
that happens. He like introduces them when like he first comes back to town, and then she basically like, there's like a scene where she kicks him out of the apartment that he's been staying at, and he's like, whatever, I'll go stay with the doctor. That all happened leading up to this. And yeah, basically, so like, well, not quite yet. Matsunaga like sees this and he's like, whatever, I'll just leave. Cause he's kind of in shock. They give him like some money. He's like, go do this. And he just kind of like leaves it on the floor and just like gets away from there. And then Okada spreads the word. He's like, all right, this dude's blacklisted. Don't like talk to him. Don't help him out. Just ignore him. And he goes to one bar that has the girl who like likes him but pretends not to. And she basically is like, look, you seem really fucking sick. Why don't you come to the countryside with me and just like chill while you get better? And he basically just like walks out on her. And then I'm trying to think what leads to the knife fight. Does he just show up and
he pretty much just shows up?
Yeah, okay. He just kind of shows up. I guess he's like, whatever. I shouldn't have let you leave earlier, so I followed you here. And
they get into a knife fight.
Yeah, and
where like
no, doesn't he go into? Doesn't he go back to him and do it? Because I remember it's like in the building.
Yeah, like he goes to like Okada's house, I think.
Okay. See, I was like, the way I was describing it, I like imagined it like Okada came back to him on the street. I'm like, wait, no, that's not right.
No, Matsunaga goes to
back
Okada's
to
to confront him.
And
like he has a knife and he's like, I'm gonna fucking stab you, but then he's like so sick that he starts like throwing up blood in his hands and he drops the knife and then Okada picks it up.
Yep. And then Okada's also got his own knife, which I like. This scene's so fucking stupid because like, what's the girl's name that we were just talking about? The one that left Matsunaga?
Nanai, I believe.
Nanai?
Nanai.
Yeah, there's like a scene where she's just sitting on Okada's lap and just like pulls the knife out of his pocket right before the scene happens and just literally like tosses it on the couch like across the room. And it's like immediately after that happens, Okada comes in with the knife and it's like,
yeah.
That one was a little obvious.
Matsunaga just comes, and then Okada pretty much just like is chasing him with the knife, and they like slip on some paint.
Yeah, so it's a little slapstick there for a little.
But that whole like camera shots and stuff was really good.
Yeah,
like when it was first chasing him, like point of view of him like stumbling backwards.
Yeah, and the performances in the scene were like really good too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Okada gets Matsunaga, stabs him, and then he dies. And then basically it's like the funeral, and the girl who offered like him the spot on the countryside is like crying over by this like little polluted lake.
And she has his ashes.
Yeah, she has his ashes, and basically the doctor's like, don't cry. And she's like, how can you be so cruel? And he's like, look, I completely understand how you feel, because I'm feeling it too, but I'm pissed off instead of sad. Because the Yakuza always do the wrong thing. It's like I gave him so many chances. I tried, but he just would. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't teach it to drink.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the movie ends.
Yeah, he like the 17-year-old who had tuberculosis is like, it's cured now. You owe me some sweets. He's like, all right. And then
all right, I guess.
It ends with that bittersweet ending.
Yeah.
Quite literally. But yeah. I like this one.
I really like this one. Fun fact, Toshiro Mifune, he was like just a very little, he was a really small role in the film originally. Like it wasn't supposed to be about the Yakuza guy. Mm-hmm. But Akira Kurosawa thought his performance was like so powerful that he gave him pretty much the same amount of screen time as Sonata. To the point that people like when they're thinking of the title Drunken Angel, they're thinking of him some of the time.
Yeah.
Even though it's about like the title refers to the doctor, but like.
Yeah. No, I could see it definitely being like a duality thing.
Yeah. And I agree. I think both the performances by the two mains are really good.
Yeah. Yeah. I really don't have like too much to say about this one. I like it. I like some of the smaller moments in it. Like there's like the bits where he's like the doctor is like diluting his like 100% alcohol with water and like drinking that.
I think it's tea, but yeah.
Oh,
he has like medical grade like alcohol.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the scene in The Lighthouse.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
They're using like the fucking like
gasoline. Yeah, oof. But yeah, I would probably give this one an 8.
I gave this one a 7.
Okay.
Pierre gave this one a 7.
Okay.
Pierre liked a black and white film.
Wow.
Yeah. I was shocked.
Impressed.
Yeah, so 7.5 for us.
Yeah.
Very good. Good movie.
Check it out.
I thought it was really good. So where's your reveal? What ranking? What number was this?
This one...
I don't even remember. Did I say this was at the bottom for you? I think I did.
Yeah, this one would be second from the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. Huh. Now I'm trying to figure out what the fuck's the bomb. Might be Seventh Samurai.
Well, let's
go on to Ikiru, 1952, directed by Akira Kurosawa.
What? This
Starring,
one too?
what the fuck is his name? The guy I was just talking about. Sexy man.
Say it one more time and I'll cement it in.
I don't know if that's true.
Oh.
Takashi Shimura.
Takashi Samura?
Shimura.
Takashi Shimura.
Ikiru roughly translates to live.
Ah.
Which is
Free or die hard.
to live, not just live.
Oh. No, that's the new sequel they're making.
To live.
Yeah.
It'll be starring the CGI version of this guy.
And the 2 is like 2, because it's the sequel, specifically
Oh.
to Live Free or Die Hard. They're ignoring A Good Day to Die Hard, because that one sucked.
I've only seen the first, I think.
You know, I'd recommend the third one. And the fourth one's not too bad. It's not
Is the
like...
second one bad?
The second one's okay. It's pretty much just the first one in an
How
airport.
many are there?
There's 5.
What the fuck?
Yeah. The 5th one's the worst. The second one's the second worst. Then I would go probably 4, 3, 1. But 3's pretty good. 3's got like Samuel L. Jackson in it, so.
Who's that? Oh, Mace Windu.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
The guy from Snakes on a Plane.
that's the one.
We should watch that movie. Not really.
I mean, I don't think I'll ever pick it, but if you pick it, we'll watch it on the podcast someday.
Alright. Ikiru. This was Akira Kurosawa's, this is what he said was his greatest work. This is also Bill Hader's favorite Kurosawa film.
Oh, okay.
On the Criterion Channel, there was a recommended thing where he's like, I love Ikiru. That's what he sounds like. I love Ikiru. I'm Bill Hader.
It's a good Bill Hader impression.
I was in It Chapter 2.
I still haven't seen that.
I really liked it.
Is it out on like DVD and shit yet?
I think so. I believe so.
I'll watch it soon then.
It can be the second movie you watch in 2020.
Whoa! It'll probably be like the third, if any, because I would probably rewatch the.
No, you gotta make it the second, so it's It 2 is the 2s.
But I think it'd be really funny if It 2 was the third movie I watched.
Oh. Or the 500th.
That would also be pretty funny.
Because 2 and 500 aren't the same number.
Yeah, they're totally different. That's what's funny about it.
Okay, so Ikiru follows our protagonist. What's his name? Kanji Watanabe. He is a supervisor in a local government building. It's like a city hall kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he is like the supervisor
Like
of the public affairs district. And the film is about the danger of bureaucracy, pretty much. The opening, like 2 minutes, it shows somebody trying to get something done. We don't even, I believe they're trying to get a park built where like this like sewage is like just coming from the streets. And like, we got to get this covered up.
Yeah.
And the first like 2 minutes is just like, oh, well, that's not the park's problem. That's the sewage department. And they're like, no, that's not the sewage. That's the sanitation. It's like, no, that's the private sanitation. And it's just going over and over.
Yeah.
Until finally they get to public affairs. And they're like, no, you got to go to Public Works Desk 8.
And basically they're like, fuck this!
And as they're leaving, they're like, hey, just put it in writing and we'll keep it here kind of thing. But then they leave. And then it cuts to Kanji Watanabe, and he's learning that he's dying, pretty much. He's going to the doctor.
Yeah.
And there's a guy outside that's like, if they tell you you have a mild stomach ulcer, that means you're going to die within a year. And then he walks in and they say that. And he's like, am I going to die? And they're like, no, you're fine. Nope.
Yeah, they're pretty obvious. Like, the one dude in the back has a really bad poker face. He keeps, like, looking. He's like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
He knows. The jig's up. He gets the bit. But, yeah, so he basically, like, just goes home at that point. Kind of, like, sits in a dark room. And his son comes home with his daughter-in-law, and basically...
Yeah, he's like in their room because I think he wants to talk to them, but as soon as they walk in, they're like, what are you doing in our room?
Yeah, after talking shit about him and talking about, like, wanting to ask him for a shit ton of money.
Yeah. So then he just doesn't say anything and he leaves.
Yeah. And then... Yeah, he like goes back to work. There's like this girl who works there who is a bit more lively than his other coworkers.
Toyo.
Yeah, she likes to like make jokes and laugh, and they're like, what are you laughing at? And she's like, oh, this joke. Here, let me read it. And then no one laughs at it, but it really strikes a chord with Watanabe. And it's like a joke explaining like, I don't know, like the soullessness of their job.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was verbatim, but something along those lines. So, basically, he goes out and he just starts drinking.
Yeah, because he hasn't, like, drank in, like a long time, he says. I can't remember. He hasn't, like, drank a lot in a long time. So he's just, like, fucking getting hammered. And he meets, like, a writer in there.
Yeah.
There's, like, a writer writing stuff. And, the writer's like, I need this medicine. And the bartender's like, the pharmacy's closed. It's like 9 p.m. He's like, what? It's already that late? And then Kenji Watanabe's like, here, you can have mine.
Yeah.
I don't need it. I'm fucking dying.
So the bartender leaves for some reason. I don't remember why. But they give him some excuse to walk out of the room. Basically, these two dudes drink and Watanabe kind of just explains. He's like, yeah, I'm dying of stomach cancer and I've never really lived my life. I've just kind of been soulless husk saving money for all these years, and now I've got a shit ton of money and I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
And so he's like, oh, I know. You, sir, will you teach me how to spend my money? The dude's like,
okay.
yeah, sure. So they go out for like a night of drinking on the town. Like buys a new hat.
Pachinko machine. Yeah, he buys a cool new hat.
That's a big plot point.
Yeah,
they talk about that hat.
They talk about that hat in like every scene.
Yeah, they go to like a pachinko machine. They pick up some ladies. They get in a limo, and then yeah, basically like he just spends all night partying with this dude, and then the next morning he's walking like back home, presumably when he runs into that lady from his work, whose name I can't remember. Toyo. Basically, she's like, hey, you haven't been at work in a little while. And
yeah, he's been gone for like 5 days.
Yeah.
And he just hasn't called or anything. He's just like, I'm not going.
And she's like, I can't officially quit until you, like, certify it. And he's like, what? You're quitting? She's like, yep. I hate my boring job, so I'm going to go work for a toy factory. You want to sign this lease? So they like kind of walk over and she comes inside and they sign, and he's having like a nice time with her. So he's like, hey, let's go eat. And then everyone's like, they're dating. Oh my God, he's dating a younger woman. This is why he took out all that money and has been taking all this time off. And everyone's just like coming up with like speculation and shit. And yeah, he starts hanging out with her a lot and she kind of gets creeped out.
It's only for like 2 days, really.
Yeah,
it's not like a whole, but she's getting a little creeped out. He's like, listen, I've never lived. And when I see youth and I see somebody who's like does things. And she's like, I don't. All I do is like make little toys.
Yeah, she's like, I work, I eat, and I pay bills. Nothing else.
And then she like pulls out a little rabbit that like hops around that she made.
And Yeah.
And she pretty much is just like, I just do what makes me happy kind of thing.
So then he's like, well, what do I do? And then he like has the light bulb moment. He takes her rep. He's like, all right, bye. And then he like runs away.
Yeah, he runs away and he goes back to work the next day.
Yep. And everyone's like, what the fuck? He's got a new hat.
He's got a new hat. Also, that night he tries to tell his kids that he's dying again. And they're like, we already know. You're dating a woman. She's taking all your money. And he's like, oh. So he just doesn't tell them and he walks on.
His son blows the fuck up on him. So he's just like, fuck that. Whatever. And then, basically he goes back to work the next day. He sees something on his like desk for the park. And he's like, hey, let's try to get this done.
Yeah.
Do everything in your power to do this. And they're like, what? We can't do that. He's like, well, try. And then
he's like, let's do this today. And he's like, well, we can't do it today. And he's like, we can if we try really hard. And then he runs out the door. And then it cuts to his funeral 5 months later.
And then basically it's like all of his like colleagues and his, like,
it's pretty much all the other department heads plus his like family and like his subordinates.
And they're basically like, so he died in this park that he got built. And he committed suicide there, the fucking asshole. And then some dude like knocks on the door and is like, hey, turns out he didn't die of suicide. He didn't freeze to death.
Well, yeah, because they thought he froze to, they thought he just like knew he was going to freeze and he just sat there.
Yeah, they thought it was like some sort of like statement he was trying to make dying in that park. But basically like the dude knocks on the door and is like, oh no, he asked the hospital, stomach cancer. He had stomach cancer. And then basically the question of the night becomes, did he know he had stomach cancer? And they basically...
Well, it's not just that. It's also, was he the one that was responsible for building the park? Because the mayor, the deputy mayor, is the one that's taking credit for it.
Oh, yeah.
And there's like the newspaper reporters coming in and they're like, it seems like you're taking credit for his work. And they're like, no, it's our work. And then the whole night they're like, no. I think the storytelling, like, throughout this last, like, 40 minutes is really great, because it cut to this funeral, and then it keeps, like, this is, like, just a little past the halfway point of the movie, and he's dead, and then it keeps cutting back to him, like...
It's very, like, Citizen Kane, and, like, the fact that it's, like, a post-mortem, and you're seeing him from the perspective of other people.
Yeah, like, and it's showing how he influenced other people, and how he, like, through the lens of other people, what the story, and it's very interesting,
Yeah.
And he just pretty much goes around, like, practically, like, begging people to, like, get the job done so that they can build this park.
Like a Parks and Rec episode.
Yeah.
Because he's basically just going around and he's like, look, we need to do this. And they're like, no, we can't do this. And then he slowly, like, annoys his way up the, like, chain of command until he gets to the assistant mayor, deputy mayor, whatever, like, that dude's title is. And the dude's like, no, we just... the park's not going to happen. We're just going to forget about it. And then he, like, turns around. And then...
He's like, please?
Yeah, he's like, hey, could you please reconsider? And the dude's like, what the fuck did you just say to me?
What did you just say?
He's like, well, if you could... And, like, his, like, friend, his colleague that's in there with him keeps trying to, like, get in the back way. And he keeps, like, moving his hand off his shoulder. He's like, look, I want you to reconsider. Just please reconsider. And then hard cut, our park's built. And we find out through like small contextual clues of like things he would say to like his colleagues or the other like business heads that like they piece together like, oh yeah, he knew he had stomach cancer and
his son's like, no, he clear enough, he would have told us. And then he's like, finds out, he's like,
yeah, he's like, oh, I wish I had known. That way I wouldn't have been such a giant fucking asshole to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically, yeah, they find out that basically, like, it got to the point where he was, like, clinging to life just to get this park built. And then it's, like, kind of just, everyone's, like, sad. They're like, oh, fuck, he's dead. And, he doesn't get the credit or anything. Like, fuck. And then the cop who, like, was there when he died, like, comes in and, does, like, the ceremonial, like, incense to the ashes kind of thing.
Which is like the park that he had pretty much built it for, the people that he built it for had already come in and done that earlier.
Yeah. So basically he explains, he's like, look, I was the cop on patrol the night that
I saw him there.
last night. I saw him there.
Thought he was just drunk, and he looked so happy.
Yeah. And then everyone's like, "Oh, that's sweet." And he's like, the song he was singing. And he sang the song earlier.
Oh yeah,
in the
he
movie
sang the song when he was with the
partying
prostitute.
writer.
And that scene, I was gonna bring it up. Like, it was fucking brutal because it's just a close up of his face as he's crying, singing this song.
Yeah.
And then they cut back to that's like almost the ending shot of the film is like him just. It's like lightly snowing. He's just swinging back and forth, singing the song.
But it's a lot more jovial this time.
It's not. I don't even know if I would say jovial, but like
accepted.
Content. You know, he's
Yeah.
content. He's like, I did something.
Mm-hmm.
For the first time in like 30 years, he feels accomplished.
And then basically all of his partners and stuff are like, we're inspired. Remember how we
getting
feel
drunk.
in
They're
this
like,
moment.
we're gonna do something. We're gonna help people.
Yep.
And then cuts to the next day, and they don't.
Yeah.
Somebody comes in, they immediately send them off.
Yep.
And yeah. Which is a pretty devastating ending.
Yeah.
But I do think the film has a tinge of hope still. I think like the character of Watanabe has enough hope in him being like, hey, you can still, just because the bureaucracy will never change. You know, you can't magically change the system, but you can change the world. Like, no matter how small of, like, a decision you make, if it's trying to help somebody, it can, like, drastically affect someone's life. So, do good.
Yeah.
Which I think is a pretty poignant point. Pretty good. Pretty epic.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't really have much deeper to say on this one. Like, I think we pretty much covered all the bases from at least an initial first watch.
Yeah. I mean, Takashi Shimura fucking
Great actor.
blew me away in this movie. And in Seven Samurai. Like, he's like, might become one of my favorites. Like, he fucking is amazing in this movie.
Yeah.
And he has such an expressive, like, smile. Like, his small little smile.
He's got an expressive smile, and he's also got, like, a very expressive, like, sad face, too.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's just his eyes. Like, they, like, actually, like, sparkle.
They
I'm
do.
like, what the fuck?
Yeah. What do you rate this one?
I gave this one a 9.
A 9. I gave this one an 8. This one
Is this the lowest one?
This is the lowest
Oh,
one.
wow. Okay. Interesting. Okay. This is by the same co-writer, Shinobi Hashimaru, I think? Hashimoto. He also wrote Seven Samurai and Rashomon.
Ah.
And Throne of Blood and Hidden Fortress. And Harakiri, which is not a Akira Kurosawa film, but
that's the
I've
one
heard
that
one's really fucking good.
I see that I thought because I've seen like the like imagery from that movie, and I thought that was
Well, like
this
that shot?
movie. Yeah. And I thought that was this movie, so I was like pretty pleasantly surprised when I watched Seven Samurai, and I was like, whoa, this is the movie I 100% thought it was.
So, Drunken Angel was my bottom. This was, I think it's second. I really, really dug this movie.
Okay.
Is that what you said?
I don't remember what my ranking was. We'll have to
listen back to our own podcast.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, this was second for me. Oh yeah, no, you did put this second for me because then you said Seven Samurai, High and Low, and then Drunken Angel. So you're 2 for 2 so far.
Oh.
And I'm, what am I, 0 for 2? Yeah, 0 for 2.
Woo!
Nice.
Yeah. I'm winning.
You're winning. You're probably just going to win. All right. So, the next one is Kurosawa's longest film. This is probably one of the most well-known, like, at least well spoken about like Japanese films of all time, I would say.
Yeah.
Which is Seven Samurai. Influenced probably the most well-known Western of all time as well.
Magnificent Seven.
Like, I guess you could argue like The Searchers is more well, but no, because I think The Searchers might be more heralded as like a classic, but I think like
pop like culture.
yeah, I would say Magnificent Seven.
Especially since they
did a remake, yeah.
Fucking like 15 years.
You should do a Korean remake of the Magnificent Seven.
They should.
I like this your little hat move.
Yeah,
Thomas is making a funny face at me. No, we're not doing that. All right. You want to get started with Seven Samurai, or you want me to?
Yeah. So there's this.
It's the guy again. What's his name?
Fuck.
Uh-huh.
I had it when like for 5 minutes after you said it. It starts
Locked
with an
it
S.
in. Takashi Shimura.
Yes, Takashi.
Yeah, but it opens up not with him, I guess.
Yeah, that's why I was like, what? So basically, we find out, it's the 16th century. It's a small farming village that keeps getting raided by bandits. Bandits keep coming in, stealing all their food. They're like barely scraping by. And basically, the bandits come through. Their shit's not like quite ready yet, so they're like, all right, we'll be back when your barley is ripe. And they leave. And everyone in the village is fucking terrified. They're just like, Jesus fucking Christ. We're gonna die. Like, they're just gonna keep taking all of our food, and we're slowly gonna die. There's no fucking hope. There's no God. There's no Buddha. There's nothing. We are dead. And then some of them are like, well, we'll fight back. And they're like, no, we can't do that. And that's fucking stupid. We're just a bunch of fucking farmers. So, they get the idea to go hire some samurai. So, like, what, 3 to 4 of them?
Yeah, the old man, the village elder, pretty much, they go to him and they're like, what should we do? And he's like, we must get samurai to protect the village. And he says to get 4 samurai.
Yep.
So 4 of them go and they say, find the hungry samurai, because all they have to offer is food. Mm-hmm. So, which is not ideal.
Yeah, most samurai
want glory, like to like gain strength, and none of that is available here, or money, and they don't have any of that. So they're like, we have food, so they go to this like nearby like big village kind of thing,
and right away we get introduced to 3 of our 7 samurais, or no,
2.
Well, because I assumed that the one.
Oh, yeah, the kid, yeah.
Yeah, because the kid. So basically, there's like this big building. There's a bunch of people like fleeing out, and like they get there, and some dude's like shaving his head down by the river, and they're like, "Hey,
what's going on?
What's going on?" And they're like, "Well, that guy's a samurai. There is a dude who's holding a kid hostage in the hut over there. So we asked him to help, and without."
And he's like, "Hey, just shave my head and let me borrow some monk clothes."
So he basically like goes over there, and there's this other like samurai-esque looking dude, very unconventional for a samurai.
He has what are we talking about? Mifune?
Not Mifune.
The kid? I was talking about the actor.
Oh, I don't know the actor.
Which is the guy from Drunken Angel, the young guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's in all the movies that we're going to be talking about from here.
Yeah. Yeah, Kikuchichu or something. Kikuchiyo.
Yeah. He has this giant samurai sword. It's like probably like twice as big as a ring. It's like huge, and he's carrying it around. He's like,
yeah, he like leans on it, and he's like leaning up against rocks.
He's like, ha!
He's very loose.
He reminds me of like an anime character.
Oh, that's 100% what he reminds me of. So basically, he's just kind of watching, very amused. And this monk,
the samurai in monk's clothing, he brings these. He's like, I need 2 rice balls, and he knocks on the door. He's like, hey, you must be very hungry. You've been in there. And you need to give this to the kid. And he, like, puts the rice balls down. And the guy's like, throw them in. And he throws them in. And as the guy, like, we don't see any of this.
Yeah.
We just see the outside of the door. And we, like, hear the guy, like, drop the kid or something. And then the samurai in the monk's clothes just, like, runs in.
And then we see the bandit just kind of, like, stumble out.
Yeah, in, like, slow motion.
Yeah. And he just falls over dead.
This is like, known by a lot of people as, like, the first, like, modern, like, action film kind of thing. It has a lot of, like slow motion. Like, this is the first time, really, that an action movie had, like, slow motion cameras and stuff. But he, like, slowly walks out, and then he just falls out, and the guy walks out, and he has his sword, because he didn't bring a sword, because he was supposed to be a monk.
Yeah. And he's got the kid. He's, gives the kid...
He's very epic. This whole movie, he's extremely epic. He's an epic guy.
Yeah. And basically, he just leaves town after that. And then, the 4 guys are following him. And then there's the one samurai, Kikuchiyo. And there's another, like, kid who's he's not really a samurai, I don't think, but he wants to be.
Yeah, he's... I need to bring up the fucking thing about this. They're all very...
The names I'm going to slaughter.
Don't worry, I'll say all the names, because I'm also bad, but if only one of us says them wrong, then it's like, okay, blame him for being an idiot.
Yeah.
You shall not be blamed today. So, Takashi Shimura, he plays Kanbei Shimada, which is like the main samurai.
Okay.
And then this kid runs up. He's like he's probably like 20, 22. He's a young guy.
Yeah.
And plays this guy named Katsushiro Akamoto. And he's like a son of a wealthy, like, samurai. So he's the son of a samurai, but he's untested, and he's like, please make me your disciple.
And then
he's like,
I'm too old.
Yeah, he's like, I'm a Ronin, I don't do that.
Yeah.
But he's like, please. And then Toshiro Mifune comes up, which is Kikuchiyo, and he just kind of stands there staring at him.
Yeah, he doesn't say anything, he just kind of looks at him.
And the young kid's like, what the fuck are you doing? Get out of here.
Yeah, so basically...
And this village is where, like, pretty much most of the rest of this first, like, act takes place.
Yeah, so the farmers finally get a chance to talk to Shimada, and they convince him. They're like, hey, join us and fight for our village, and we'll give you food. And he's like, all right, just because I'm a nice guy, I'll do it.
But he's like, but we'll need 7 samurai.
Yeah. Really, we should be 10, but if I say 10, then we're going to need, like, 15.
Well, that's what the village elder says.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So he's like, okay, we'll get the 7 ready. And the other two of the 4, they go back to the village to, like, tell them that they're getting samurai. And they tell the village elder, we're sorry, they're bringing 7. He's like, well... We really needed 10, but if I had said 10, you would have gotten 15, and that was going to be too much. So we'll do with 7.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so they start trying to get people in, and, like, what they do is they'll get samurai from around town, and they'll have the main samurai just sitting inside this room, and they're like, come on in. And the young guy will, like, hit him with a stick, or at least attempt to like, test them.
And most of them
samurai won't be hit.
Catch it.
Yeah, the first guy literally just catches it. He's like, oh, what do you... And he's like, what? No money? Fuck you, I'm leaving. But the second guy they get, which is... one of my favorite characters is this guy named Gorobe.
Yeah.
Gorobe.
He doesn't even walk in.
He's like walking. He's like, what is this? Are you joking here? And he's like, I'm sorry. Come on in. Like, he senses it or he sees the shadow.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's such a great way to introduce a character that's already like has like patience.
Mm-hmm.
Having that just little scene with somebody that walks in and catches it, and then having a scene that introduces like one of your main characters being like, I know.
Yeah. So they kind of like So they get him. So now that
Yeah, he's like, I'll join you. He's like, I don't care about the money. You know, I want to help people. I get your cause. But he's like, but I like you the most. He like pretty much says that. I like your attitude.
Yeah.
And he becomes the second in command, really.
Yeah. And then they kind of...
Kanbei runs into like an old friend who had worked with him before. His name was Shichiroji. That's the bald guy. Or the other bald guy.
Yeah. It's like the dude who was like cutting wood.
And he's just like, hey, you want to join? He's like, yeah.
Yeah,
Just because he'd worked with him. And then Gorobe is like, I'm looking for samurai. And to the shopkeeper. And he's like, well, there's kind of a samurai in my backyard. And he's like, been like, feed me. I don't have any money, but I'll chop wood for you. So he's just in the back chopping wood. And he's like, I'm a great swordsman, but obviously he's untested. But he's like, nah, we should bring him because he has like a really good attitude. I also really like that guy.
Yeah.
I think his name's Heihachi. Yeah.
And then they witness a duel between... It starts off as just like sticks, you know. But then some honor gets brought into it, and then they're like, let's switch to real blade.
Because it looks like both of them hit each other. But he's like, no, I won. He's like, the guy's like, one guy's like, it was a draw. And the other guy's like, I won.
If
you would have been
real,
dead.
You would have been dead. And he's like,
like,
prove
well,
it.
then do it. And then they do, and he dies.
And I gotta say, I don't know this character's name, but this specific samurai, like all of his like action scenes, like his sword work, really fucking quick. Like I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm like, was he like...
Is he
an actual samurai? His character's name was Kyozo. Or Kyuzo.
He was one of my
Kyuzo.
favorites. I really liked his.
Yeah, he was just like serious stone face, and he's just like an incredible swordsman.
Yeah. And then he's like 5 officially because they don't count the apprentice as one yet. They plan on like leaving him behind, but he eventually becomes one. So technically, that dude's 6.
Yeah, he becomes the 6th one before, and it's just like, hey, we're gonna do 6. But then one guy that's like been in the inn they're staying at, it was like kind of crazy. He's like, ah!
Yeah,
he's like, I found one, and it's Kikuchiyo.
Yeah,
Kikuchiyo. And he like walks in and he's just fucking like drunk off.
And
he just gets hit in the head with the stick. And they're like, no samurai would like drink enough to like dull their senses. And he was just destroyed. And they hit him on the head with the stick. He's like, who hit me?
Yeah. It takes him a minute to find. He's like, you did.
He's like, I'm from samurai descent. He pulls out a scroll. He's like, look. And they're like, this says you're a 12-year-old girl.
And so he's like, fuck you guys. I'm a samurai. And then he like chases one of them around.
And then he gets like stuck in like a little area. And then he like falls asleep.
Yeah.
And then they leave in the morning. He's like, take me with you. And they're like, nope.
But he just follows from a safe distance. And I thought those scenes were like really cute because they're like, they stop and they'll look back and he'll stop too, but he's at his distance.
And he's like, hey!
He's like, and they're like, this guy's still fucking following.
And they're like, where'd he go? And they're like, it's kind of lonely without him. And then suddenly he jumps from above them and he's like, hey!
That's after the scene where he's like, they're like up on the cliff and they watch him like catch the fish. And
he's like, I got a fish!
Yeah!
I was expecting him to like drop it. And it would have been like laugh at him.
Yeah, so, basically he's like, comes out and leads the front. He's like, this way! So they're like, alright, fuck, we're stuck with this guy. So they get to the village, little farming community, and, basically while they were gone, one of them got like really scared, and, samurai are really notorious for...
I'm gonna go pee, but go ahead.
Samurai are really notorious for like fucking with farmers, and like specifically like raping their daughters and shit. So like a lot of fear gets propagated throughout the town that it's like, the samurais are gonna come in and they're gonna sleep with your daughter. So like one dude like goes like fucking nuts and like cuts off his daughter's hair, trying to like make her look like a boy. And she is like, this scene's brutal because she does not want her hair cut. And he's just like going at it with a razor. It's not like scissors or anything. So it's like obviously very rough and seems like a very painful process. So basically, like, news of this spreads and everyone, gets really paranoid. So when the samurais arrive in a town, everyone just stays inside. And they're like, well, what the fuck? So they go and they talk to the village elder. And he's basically like, oh yeah, the farmers, they're afraid. And then suddenly the bathing water goes off.
I did piss. It's okay.
Oh, okay, good.
Oh yeah, they're all in their houses. They're like, we're not coming out.
Yeah.
And then the alarm falls, and they're all running out. They're like, samurai, protect us, protect us. And they're like, well, who rung the bell? Like, what's going on? And
Kikuchiyo.
Kikuchiyo going, you don't come out when we get here, but as soon as you're in danger, you're like, oh, samurai.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, maybe this guy is good for something. And they make him the 7th member then.
Yep. So, yeah, basically starts the training period of the movie, pretty much, where slowly samurai kind of like go, they survey the area, try to find like all the openings, the main roads that they
because the village has fucking 4, like it can be attacked from every side.
Yeah, it's pretty out in the open, so it's prime for attack. They like build fences. They're trying to teach the farmers how to use spears and how to have a little bit more bravery because they're all very cowardly.
Except for like, I think his name's Rikichi.
Yeah,
That guy's like, I'm gonna fucking kill him.
he's pretty hot-headed.
Yeah. That's literally on Wikipedia. It says, Yoshio Tsuchiya as Rikichi, a hot-headed villager.
Oh, jeez.
One of the main villagers is a guy named Yohei, who's like this timid old man.
Yeah. He's the one who like cut off his daughter's hair, right?
No, that's Monzo. Monzo's a fucking asshole.
Yeah. Okay.
And then his daughter's name is Shino.
She becomes pretty important. Yeah, so basically, I don't remember like the exact specific order. This is a really long movie.
Yeah, it's 3.5 hours. We're almost to the
like
intermission though.
Point, yeah.
So the main things that happen though are like they start to train, and then the young guy, what was his name? Young samurai, the boy samurai.
Yeah.
He's like laying in a field and he sees Shino.
Yeah.
And he's like, Are you a girl? He goes, are you a girl? She's like, no. He's like, then why the fuck aren't you training?
And then she basically is like, freaks the fuck out and like starts to leave. He's like, hey, get back here.
And he like chases her down because he thinks, and then he like
touches her boob and he's like, hey.
Oh, he like tackles her and he's like, oh, you're a woman.
What the fuck? And then it cuts away, and the next time we cut to them, they've like fallen in love already. And they're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's just young people. Young people in the 1500s.
Leave one unsupervised young male with one unsupervised young female, and they'll automatically fall in love. It's how it works.
So while that's happening, Kikuchiyo is like training the villagers and like how to use spears, and he finds like I think it's Yohei who has like an actual spear. He's like, where the fuck did you get this? Mm-hmm. And they have like dozens of samurai armor.
Yeah.
As in they killed samurai.
Yeah, and then he brings it in, he's like, I got all this great equipment, and all the samurai are pissed, like, this is disrespectful.
You literally killed samurai.
And it's like, well, and then he basically goes, this is where I think this is the scene where he gives this big, like, emotional farmer meltdown little thing. Isn't it?
Well, yeah, he's like...
Because basically he's like, farmers, they're fucking weasels. They're snakes, they've got supplies up in the hills.
Yeah, they're hiding. They have stockpiles.
All they care about is their survival. And you, samurai, you come and you fucking raid their villages and rape their women. Of course they're gonna kill you, samurai. And you get fucking upset when they take their armor after all the terrible shit samurai have done to them. Fuck you. And then basically
and then the main guy's like, you were a farmer, weren't you?
And then Kikuchiyo is like crying and he leaves. He's just like, yeah.
And it's been like, you can kind of piece that together, like kind of slightly throughout, because he has like, that he had stolen the royal thing, because samurai were all like pretty much royalty, like we're all like royal families.
Came from like high militarized.
And he didn't really have any training, that's why like Kikuchiyo is like, he's pretty misogynistic and a womanizer and stuff, but he's one of the most interesting characters in this because it seems like pretty much all that womanizing and stuff is like just him hiding behind this like wall of hyper masculinity. Yeah. He's like, I have to hide because he does break down like multiple times in the movie.
Yeah, no, he 100% was my favorite character in this movie.
I also like the main character a lot too. Like more stone,
you're talking about Shimada or not Shimada.
Shimura, the main samurai.
Yeah. I really liked him too.
Shimada was his character's name. Shimura was the actor's name.
Okay.
So we got that mixed up. Yeah, he was just. I don't think he's the most interesting character, but he's such a great character to be the focal point and have the other ones be like branching off from that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kikuchiyo like blew me away. The first half of this movie I thought was like perfect.
The second half, I will say, total like opposite of what I expected. Because I'm slightly jumping ahead here a little bit, but I totally like was expecting like the final battle to be like one big final battle, and I was expecting, I don't know why, I thought there was going to be like fire, like a lot of shit on fire, and I thought like that would be, but it turns out it's not one big battle, it's a series of many small battles.
And then one bigger battle
in the rain. I'm like, oh, that's the complete opposite, complete total opposite of what I was expecting.
Because honestly, like, because the first half's like an hour and 40 minutes, and the second half's like, and probably the last like hour of it is the fight.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, I gotta go use the bathroom. You explain.
Okay, are we pretty much at the intermission? That's pretty much when
Pretty much, yeah.
They have the breakdown. There's some character moments between all of them. There's a point where I can't remember if this is in the first half or the second half. I think in the second, but the young samurai tells the stone-faced samurai, he's like, hey, I really respect you. And the stone-faced samurai, like, who's been, like, has a pretty neutral stance the whole movie, he, like, does a little smile. And it's such a great, just little moment. But the second act pretty much, like, jumps right into it. It starts off with 3 scouts getting to the village, I believe that's what happened. 3 scouts get to the village, and all the samurai hide except for Kikuchiyo, because he's not around at that point. And they're like, no, we can't let them know that the samurai are here. But obviously they see him, because Kikuchiyo like isn't knowing what's going on. He finds out that the scouts are around, and he's like, well, I better go fight them. And they see them, and they're like, oh, fuck, we gotta go get them. So the stone-faced samurai, Kikuchiyo, and the young samurai all go to get him, but the young samurai is just supposed to, like, look. And they do, and they go for it. They go to do it, they go to get him, and they succeed. They cut him off pretty much right at their horses. Kikuchiyo, like, literally beats a guy to death, while the stone-faced samurai, like, cuts the other 2. But I was just like, Kikuchiyo is literally just beating a man to death with his bare fists. And I thought that was great. So after they get the 3 scouts... Oh, he actually doesn't beat the guy to death. I'm talking about... They go after the 3 scouts. And the stone-faced samurai kills 2, and then Kikuchiyo jumps out of a tree and just starts like beating the shit out of the third one. And I thought he killed him, but no, he takes him back to the village, and they pretty much interrogate him, and then the villagers like want to kill him. And they're like, no, we can't. But then this old lady that we had seen...
she's like the old elder lady.
Yeah, she's like an old elderly lady whose whole family had been killed by the bandits. She comes up and they like let her murder him.
They're like, all right.
They're like, somebody help her kill this guy.
Yeah. And one of them eagerly is like, I'll do it. And I was like, okay.
Which I believe that was Rikichi, I think?
Yeah.
But he had told them where like the bandits' camp was.
Mm-hmm.
So they take him. They're planning to like attack the camp while they're pretty much all sleeping. They're going to light it on fire.
Yeah.
And they do. And they see that there's a bunch of women in there, like concubines or prostitutes. They're not really prostitutes because they're bandits and they're making the women.
Yeah.
But, concubines, I guess. So they run out and they're like, no, go, go, go. And then as soon as the bandits start running out, they're just like, fuck you. And they're just killing a bunch of people. And after they kill like 10 of them, they're like, okay, gotta get out of here. Because they're like, well, we're not going to be able to fight all of them. But
this scene is important because it's our first death.
Yeah, our first death. So,
and we also find out something else.
A woman wanders out and it's Rikichi's wife, I believe.
Yes.
And he like goes to like grab her. He's like, oh my God, you're here. And she like just runs back into the flames because like, I think it's just, she's too ashamed of what had happened kind of thing. Like she can't face him. So she's like, I'm just going to go kill myself. He's like standing there in shock. And
while this is going on,
Heihachi goes to like grab him. It is Heihachi, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
The jovial one, the very nice guy.
And then
he goes to grab him and he gets him and then he gets shot by
a musket.
And dies.
Yep. So they bury the first of the 7.
Yeah. So Heihachi dies, and it's like obvious that everyone's like a lot more solemn because Heihachi was like he was the weakest swordsman, but he was like the most jovial and he was the kindest, and he was keeping morale up like quite a bit.
Yeah.
But he dies.
Yep.
And then what happens?
They basically talk and they're like, well, we need to get some muskets. You know, we need to get our hands on one of those muskets. It would make our job a lot easier. So the one samurai, whose name I can't remember, but the one that like we saw cut down that dude when he joined
Kyozo.
Basically he's like, I'll go get one. Don't worry. I'll be back in a little bit. And he's like gone for like a couple hours. And then he just comes back. And he's got a musket. He's like, 2 more are dead.
Yeah. We do see the first part of that like big fight first, though. We do see like their plan first.
Okay. I wasn't sure.
I just pulled it up. I couldn't remember the order either.
Yeah.
So their plan pretty much is to hide behind. They only have one place that's really open. All the other places people try to get him, but they're like kind of like stabbing them, like, no, get away from our barricade. But they purposely leave one place like open so that it's easier to funnel them in that way. And what they do is they're all coming in on horseback. So as soon as one horse comes in, they all like run in with their spears to be like, no, can't get past.
Yeah.
And then the people in the villagers will just like I think there's 3 samurai there, and they'll be in charge of hunting down that one guy.
Yeah.
So they do that, and they're like, what the fuck? And then the old man is sitting in the mill. He's like still outside of the village. There had been 3 houses that were technically outside of the village, and that's where like the village elder lived. And he like was refusing to leave, so his family went to go get him. And Kikuchiyo, who was like guarding that area, like the close to the village, was like, they're still not back. So he like abandons his post to go get him with the main guy. He's like, no, come and help me if you're not gonna like. Yeah. So they go and they're all dead. The wife, because it had been like the son and wife that went to go get him, and the wife comes out with her baby and she like hands over the baby and then like dies. Yeah, she had been speared. But she had like stayed alive long enough to protect her baby.
Starts breaking down because he's like, this kid is me.
Yeah, that's like exactly what happened to him. His family was murdered by bandits.
Yep.
And I'm like, bruh.
So he breaks down with the kid in the water for a little bit, and
then Kyozo goes to get the gun. Yeah. And then
the apprentice guy,
Kikuchiyo, also goes to get a gun.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Kanbei's like, what the fuck are you doing? Why did you do that? He's like, we must win as a team. You can't just leave without telling us.
Yeah. You know, we win war by working together, not by ourselves. And then, like, immediately after, like, he left his post, basically, we find out that there's been, like, a breach over there. So they're like, shit. Gotta go take care of that.
Yeah, and there's, like, a bunch of villagers that are dead. I don't think it's any named villagers, but there are a couple villagers that are dead.
Yeah.
There's like one's face in the water, and he like lifts him up and then just like puts him back down. But then they have another big wave of attacks, and it's kind of the same thing, but Gotobe gets killed by, I think, an arrow.
Yeah.
I think he gets shot in, like, the back or something, or maybe he gets killed. The main character's like, no!
Yeah.
Because they had become, like, best friends because he had been his second in command. And he was a really cool character.
Yeah.
I honestly like all the Seven Samurai. I think I was surprised because in this 3.5 hours, I felt like some of them, like, didn't get enough screen time, like, characterization.
Yeah, there's like
weird. I'm like, this is 3.5 hours, and I feel like I didn't know, like, 2 of them.
Yeah, there's just a couple of them that kind of get left behind. Which, I mean, honestly, it's not that big of a deal, but it would have been nice to have a little bit more characterization for all of them. But, yeah, so that happens, and then after that, because they're like, all right, that was like the biggest wave yet. We've only got like 12 or 13 bandits left.
Because there were only 30 at the beginning.
Yeah, they had been like keeping count of them and kind of marking them as they like found more bodies. And then basically they're like, we took the most hits this last time, but this next battle tomorrow, because I assume they're not going to come tonight because we just fucked them up. But they're probably going to be coming back tomorrow because they don't have much time to wait. So basically everyone's like celebrating their last night.
They get some drinking, and then the young samurai goes and has sex with Shino pretty much, and Monzo sees them.
What specific body is Kikuchiyo grieving over? Because he's grieving over... The old man hadn't died yet.
The old man had died.
He died?
Because he died at that mill. I'm guessing he died.
Oh, okay.
He was grieving over that family that died, just the whole family in general.
Well, there's that other old guy who gets like shot with the arrow.
Oh,
that's like the final.
Yuhei, I think.
Is that the final one, or is that who he's grieving over?
I think that might be who he's grieving over because he was like training him, and Yuhei had killed somebody. He had done it, and then he'd like been freaking out, and he got killed. And he's like, "No, don't give up," because the whole time he's like, "No, villagers, don't." He's like, "No, you can't be weak."
Yeah. So basically, he's kind of grieving for a little bit. He goes over and drinks, and then the next morning, one important thing that happens, that one asshole finds his daughter.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Monzo finds them, like, they have a relationship, and then, like, starts to beat the shit out of her. And then he's like, no, because it's, like, illegal or not, it's not in the code to, have relations with a samurai. And I believe it's Shichiroji, which is like the old lieutenant that used to work with him, was like, no, they're in love!
Yeah.
And it's right before a battle, so it's fine. Yeah. That's pretty much that. They're like, fuck you, Monzo.
Yeah.
Fuck Monzo. He should have died. I don't think he dies.
I don't think he does.
Fuck Monzo.
And it feels bad, especially with the kind of note that like whole plot ends on. It's like, oof.
That, yeah. So then... And then this is the final scene. The next morning, battle. Like a giant downpour.
They basically decide to let them all in at once. And, basically, they pretty quickly, like, take him on for the final scene, but a couple of them, like, sneak into this,
I believe it's just their leader and then one other guy.
Yeah.
They go in with the last gun, and they shoot Kyuzo, through a window. Because they're hiding in, like, the woman's hut, where all the women are hiding. And Kikuchiyo is like, that's it! And he, like, runs into the hut, and he gets shot in the stomach, but he's like... and he just, like, powers through it. He's like, and he kills him and then dies.
Yeah. And I was like, no!
Yeah.
Oh, man, that broke me. My two favorites died, like, back to back, and I was just like, ah! That's pretty much the end of the movie. Basically.
Like the three samurai are, like, standing there. He's like...
They've got, like, the little hills with the swords.
There's, like, a melancholy thing where it's like, we lived another battle to the old lieutenant.
Yeah, and a reoccurring theme that's in this one, it's also in Ron, is basically, like, the lady, the daughter, who... the one samurai who had been sleeping with, she, like, kind of walks by and she gives him the cold shoulder. There's no, like, celebrating nature towards
so
him.
He's just like, well,
I guess
now he's going to be all angry and he's going to become a good samurai because he'll just be like, sad.
Yeah, and then Shimada basically explains, he's like, hey, it was a victory for the farmers, but it was a loss for us.
Yeah, we lost half of our guys, you know. The farmers only lost like 5 guys, or, you know.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's the end of the movie. And it's like, oh, yep, bittersweet ending, and that theme of winning but losing at the same time happens again in the next movie. Or not the next
The
movie,
next samurai
but the
movie.
next samurai movie we'll be talking about.
One thing that like kind of bothered me in this movie was in the torrential downpour, they obviously ADR'd the voices. Like, that's like they don't have microphones that are waterproof. I get that.
Yeah.
But like the ADR is so fucking loud. Like, it's so overpowering compared to the, like, rain. And I'm like, I feel like you can change an audio level, even if it's like, you can make that not as loud. It was just kind of distracting. I'm like, what the fuck? It's like rain's pouring and it's like, hello!
Oh, I do
like,
really
dude! I do like, I thought the movie was great. But I do think that the first half was like perfect. And I don't think the second half was perfect. I like the second half, but
yeah, I think the second half's a little bit weaker than the first, but overall, I still really enjoyed it.
I think it's just like, I think it loses a lot of the characterization in the second half. There is still some, but there's not as much. While the first half was just like so interesting to me. I'm like, this is genius.
Yeah.
There's so many great characters and stuff. And the second half is like a big action thing, which is fine, but I think that, you know, some of the action just isn't super great because it's like the 50s and I'm like, I get it.
Yeah. I will say I like that the action wasn't all like consecutive back to back, like not like a straight hour of action like I was kind of expecting.
That would have been much more boring, actually.
Yeah, I like that it was like spaced out and you did get those bits in between.
And it's pretty realistic, you know, it's not just... Oh.
I think I got some trivia for this one.
Ooh.
So this film, the original idea for this film was about just a consecutive like day in the life of a samurai, like eating breakfast and doing his duties. And by the end of it, he like makes a grave error and he has to like commit seppuku and he like dies at the end.
Uh-huh.
But apparently Kurosawa didn't feel like he had enough like factual information about like just the day-to-day life to like make the film accurate.
Mm-hmm.
And then he had an idea for a film that would cover a series of 5 samurai battles based on lives of like famous Japanese swordsmen. But then he felt like it was just going to be like a series of climaxes over and over again. So he was like, nah. And then the producer of the film like was looking through historical stuff, and that was when he like learned about during the Warring States period of Japan, samurai would like go protect villages just for food kind of thing. So like, let's do something about that.
Yeah.
And then by the end of it, all of the samurai were based on like famous samurai. And I'm like, I want to learn more about them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Often credited as the first modern action movie, many now commonly use cinematographic and plot elements, such as slow motion for dramatic flair and the reluctant hero, are seen for perhaps the first time. Other movies may have used them separately before, but Akira Kurosawa brought them all together. Good for him.
Ooh.
There was apparently he made a registry of all the villagers, like with family trees, so like he like interconnected everything, so like it just helped him build the world.
Mm-hmm.
I love like things that never really matter in a movie, like they're not really even present, but like just because it really helps, like you can tell in the final product even if it's not there.
Yeah. Oda does the same thing with One Piece. He'll write like extensive, like he's got like journals full of like information that'll never make its way onto the show, but he's just got such like a developed world that way he can keep it consistent throughout.
this was the first film that Kurosawa used multiple cameras on. Like, before he would just use one and then cut and move it. But this one, he would use, like, multiple cameras and then just edit it all together so that he could just play one scene. Like, yeah. Oh, this one I did not know. So the movie's set in 1586, which you can figure out from when Kikuchiyo brings, like, the thing he stole, the family tree, because they say, this said you were born then. But what I didn't know is that Japanese convention at the time considered a child to be 1 year old. 1 year old when they were born.
Okay.
So, it's a fun little factoid.
Interesting.
Toshiro Mifune, the guy who plays Kikuchiyo, he said that this was his favorite role because he was able to play himself. He's like, la, la, la. He's just like running. He's fucking crazy in this movie.
He's a bit of a goofball. I like it though. I like his energy.
Huh. So the guy who played Kyuzo had never touched a sword before this movie.
Weird.
And apparently, really like, most of the, like the fast stuff was all just, like, editing and, like, clever, like, cinematography. Like, to like, pretend that he's really good. And I'm like, wow, that's really good then. Because he looks really good.
Yeah, he does. I was like, oh, shit. Huh. Neat.
Oh, this was, this had simultaneous production with Godzilla from Toho, and apparently, like, the production company, like, almost went bankrupt because they were, like, so expensive together.
Makes sense.
They're like, ah!
They certainly made their money back, though. Because both films are pretty internationally famous.
Oh, the first draft was 500 pages long.
Fuck. God damn. That is
Toshiro Mifune reportedly watched films of lions in the wild for inspiration of his character. That's funny.
That is funny.
Okay. What did you give this movie?
I give this Magnificent 7, Magnificent 8.
This is Seven Samurai.
Fuck! God damn it. My bad. I'm tired.
I would also give this one an 8. This is second least favorite or whatever. It's right above.
This is straight middle for me.
Drunken Angel. So you were wrong on this one.
Ah! No! I'm returning back to the realm in which I came.
2 more movies.
Alright, our next movie. Parasite. This movie reminded me a lot of Parasite.
I get that. I gotta blow my nose again. But.
Okay. I saw, like, when Parasite was coming out, like, I saw, like, some comparisons to, like, The Housemaid and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'd say this movie...
he had said that The Housemaid, like, inspired him pretty heavily.
Yeah, and I can see definitely, like, the inspiration of The Housemaid, but I don't know if he, like, listed this movie, but this movie seemed like it was a way bigger influence on Parasite than The Housemaid would have been. Because it's got, like, the themes are there, very much about, like kind of like classism, the high house on the hill. There's like themes of like betrayal of like people who work in the house for you turning against you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen Parasite, watch Parasite and then watch this one, because I feel like they would be a good double feature.
Probably. I really like this one. Pierre, this is the other one I watched with Pierre. And he also liked this one.
What? Oh, no!
Toshiro Mifune. He's the main character in this, which is weird because he looks like completely different.
Yeah.
I was like, what? That's him?
Huh. Interesting.
And then the guy who played, who did he play? Hold on.
Whoa.
Whoa, it's Joe. Never mind. I forgot what I was thinking about. Joe, oh God, Thomas making funny face.
But yeah. So this movie opens with a shoe salesman.
Yeah. Well, no, he's
He's like
he pretty much. It's about a shoe factory.
Yeah.
And he's a stockholder. He's like one of the main owners of the shoe factory, and he used to work at the shoe factory.
Mm-hmm.
He used to make the shoes, but he's like a controlling partner now.
Yeah.
And they're having an argument with most of the shareholders are having an argument where they're like, we need to make the shoes cheaper. And so they wear out more easily. And he's like, I will not do that. I will make the shoes worthwhile. Even if it costs more, it's better in the long run and it makes us not dickheads.
And they're basically like, we're going to vote you out, asshole. We're going to get all of our stocks together.
Yeah, we're going to go talk to the old man and we're going to vote you out at the next shareholders meeting. You're like, fuck you.
Yeah, so basically he's got this grand plan.
Where he's going to go pay he's going to pay 50 million yen
to buy another 19% of the stock. And basically that'll get him 1% above
everything else combined.
Yeah, everything else combined, which would get him the power to vote basically everybody else out.
Yeah, and then he controlled everything.
Yep.
And so he's planning on doing that. Meanwhile, his kid is playing with his chauffeur's kid.
Yeah.
And they're playing sheriff and criminal.
Bounty hunter kind of deal.
And then they switch clothes and they run outside.
Yeah.
And he's about to send his assistant to go on a plane to go meet the guy to give him 50 million yen when suddenly he gets a phone call that's like, I have kidnapped your son. He's like, excuse me?
Yeah, and he's basically like, give me 30,000 yen.
30 million.
30 million yen, or else your son dies. And he's like, fuck, alright. And then
his son runs in.
Yeah.
And he's like, what?
It's after he gets off the phone.
Yeah.
He gets off the phone, and then his son comes in. He's like, what the fuck? And then he's like, wait a minute. Where's the chauffeur's kid?
Yeah, because they had switched clothing, so the criminal had been like, oh, it's their kid.
So shortly after, the kidnapper calls back. He's like, alright, seems I've made a mistake.
But I'm still going to kill him unless you pay.
Yeah. So
and he's like, it's also not extortion, because extortion explicitly states it's either threatening you or your kin. And because it's threatening somebody else's kin for money, it technically wouldn't be extortion.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, that's the kind of stupid bullshit laws that do exist. It's not extortion because it's not your kid. Because it's a Tuesday.
And basically, he's like, don't call the cops. But they call the cops. And the cops have a pretty low-key disguise. They come over dressed as a flower van.
Yeah.
And then they sneak in and they have all the blinds closed and stuff. And basically they're like, alright, well, you gonna pay $30,000? And he's like, fuck, no I'm not. That ain't my kid. Why would I pay $30,000 and risk million? Goddamn.
Which is 300,000 in 1963 money, which is probably 2 mil.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
So basically he's like, look, the money. And he's like, no, why would I give up my entire family's fortune for this?
He's like, I will go bankrupt if I do that.
Yeah, he's like, literally our lives will be ruined if I save this kid's life.
But they're at least at least keep them talking, and they try to get some more information. They record a couple calls, and the guy's like, do you have people in there? Why are your blinds closed? Because he's been watching them. They live on top of this really big hill.
Yeah.
So obviously he's in the town below.
Mm-hmm.
And they open it, and the 3 detectives are just on the ground laying there.
Yeah. So
Which is like one of the most iconic shots of the film. Like that's what I had seen before.
Yeah. Basically, this is the scene that's like the turning point for our main character, because he gets off the phone. He's like, then he calls his bank. He's like, all right, look, just give me 30 mil. I need it in like these bills.
Yeah, because the guy had specifically asked for a certain amount of bills, none of them being consecutive. But right before that, the chauffeur had come in and he'd been like begging him. He'd be like, please. He's like, the police will get your money back.
Yeah, he did that.
Even if you get my money back, it'll be too late. Like, I will be bankrupt by then, pretty much.
Yeah, and he did that the night before, and then the next day he comes in. This day, and he's basically like, look, I'm sorry, I didn't realize it was like such, just like, I was overextending like my boundaries when I was asking you to, pay for my kid's life. I get like, it's totally out of bounds there. I shouldn't have done that, and I'm sorry. My kid's smart. He'll probably find a chance to get away. Like, he's trying to like, he's basically just in hardcore denial. And then he's like, all right, yeah,
I'll do it.
Pull out the money. And basically, this dude's like a mastermind, because they get on this train and they've got like this whole thing set up. But basically it gets set up so they have to drop the money like...
Yeah, he tells them to put them in 2 briefcases, no more than 3.5 inches.
Yeah.
And they're like, and then he calls them on like the phone in the train, because he's not on there. The kid's not on there. And he's like, okay, you're coming up on a bridge. You're going to see the kid there, and then you're going to drop the briefcases outside out of the train. He's like, I can't. He's like, the bathroom windows open exactly 3.5 inches.
Yeah.
So, like, he sees the kid. He sees that there's 2, like, people, one with the kid and one, like, waiting to get the briefcase. And they drop it out.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, one of the detectives is, like, filming all of this.
Yeah. They've got
the top of the train.
Like, different angles. Yeah. So, yeah, they drop the money, they pick up the money, and then they, like, when they get off the train, they drive to the location where they dropped out the money, and the kid's there.
The kid's there. Like, so they get the kid back, but the money's gone.
Yeah, and thus pretty much concludes the first half.
Yeah, Pierre was, like, shocked that the movie was, like, going. He's like, I thought that was, like, gonna be, like, the end of the movie, or, like, close to the end. Because it feels like a climax.
This is pretty much 2 movies pasted together, like, if they made one movie and then, like, made its sequel immediately after.
Yeah, it's like...
Because it's definitely, like, segmented in, like, the 2 halves.
Yeah, it's like an incredibly interconnected sequel. Like,
Yeah. So, while the first half focused on trying to get the kid back, second half focuses on the police investigation, trying to figure out who the fuck kidnapped this kid.
And it's really in depth. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, they go pretty in depth. Basically, so they start off by getting as much information as they can out of the kid, and basically they figure out...
But the kid's in shock, so he doesn't really remember that much.
Yeah, and he's also just a kid. He doesn't take it too seriously.
He's like 7 years old.
They're like, do you remember like what route you took in the car? And he's like, I don't remember. He's like, try to remember. And the dad's like nailing into him super hard.
Because the dad's like, I owe my boss $300,000 US, pretty much the equivalent.
So what ends up happening is they get some information out of the kid. They know that he had a certain view outside of the window of the place that had an ocean shore and like a specific like mountain.
Yeah, I think it was Mount Fuji and the water.
Yeah.
So like they see that it's like has to be on this like specific like side of the island.
So they start like checking places out. They check because like they listen back to the audio from like the payphone when he's like,
oh yeah, that was cool. This was cool because they hear they hear a train, right?
Yeah, and so they go to like different like railroad type things, and they basically ask like the people like, hey, are you really good at differentiating these
there's
sounds?
One guy that's just like, I lived there for like 10 years. I know exactly which one.
And he does like the distinct like sounds through like onomatopoeia with his mouth. He's like, oh yeah, some of them make the real like chug 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 chug, but some of them do like the chugga 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 chugga. So he's
that one's like a
yeah. So he's basically like gives, I guess, some merit to what he's saying, I guess. I mean, he can distinguish different types of railway sounds enough, I guess.
Well, and they had even said that. They're like, they're three distinct trains, so if we can get, like, an expert, we can probably figure it out. So they know that they at least live in, like, a certain area.
So they narrow it down to a phone booth, and like, oh yeah, this phone booth has, like, perfect view of the house from here. Like, it would have been, like, this is probably the one he called from. So we can assume that he lives somewhere around here. And then all this is going on, and they're, like, kind of adding the small pieces together while the father is driving around with the son, trying to figure out, like, hey, you know, where'd you come from? Like, where did they take you? Yeah.
Where did you come from? Cotton Eye Joe.
Yeah, exactly. So, simultaneously, the detectives kind of, like, cross paths with the dad and the kid. And they're like, are you fucking nuts? Don't take your son in. Like, this is dangerous. What if, like, the kidnapper saw him? And then the kid's like, hey, that place is up here. He calls, like, the people that were, like, watching him auntie and uncle. It's like, oh, they must be sleeping. But they're dead. They were junkies. And they died of a heroin, quote, heroin overdose. But it was extremely pure.
Yeah, I mean, like, it was heroin. It was an overdose. But, like, they're like, they wouldn't kill themselves, like, addicts wouldn't, like, addicts that were this, like,
they wouldn't
professional, they wouldn't miscalculate. But they figure out that, like, most brands of heroin are split, so it's only about 30% of it is heroin. Yeah. And this cut of it had been, like, 90%.
Yeah,
had been, like, pure.
So,
like, so they did the same amount, and they just fucking died from it.
And they're like, oh, so this person must probably have some sort of connection to a hospital.
Yeah.
So they go to the hospital, and they found out from the kid, they're like, the kid's like, I don't remember much about him, but he always wears a handkerchief on his hand. And they see
a guy with, like, a huge scar. And we had already seen the kidnapper at this point.
Yeah.
It had cut to him briefly. It had cut to them, like, talking about the briefcases, because they specifically got, like, pretty unique briefcases. And they had put a special ink cartridge in it that when it was burned at the...
It would turn pink.
And so, like, there was this big smoke, and they're like, oh, it was burned there. So that was another thing. All the investigative work I really liked.
In the movie, too. When the smoke's pink, I was like, oh,
yeah.
Neat.
I didn't even think about that. The movie's black and white. What the fuck was
that? I was like... I actually took it back because it was so natural when it happened. I'm like, wait, this movie's been in black and white, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I wasn't even thinking about that, like, this whole time. Because usually, like, once you're into a black and white movie, you don't really notice it's black and white.
Exactly. It's like...
You're, like, invested, so you're just like, I'm watching a movie.
Exactly.
It's like, your brain just kind of sees colors, like, either way. Like, they just kind of added in themselves, you know? Like,
yeah. So basically, they're like, oh yeah, any, like, medical students come by? And he's like, maybe, I don't fucking know. But there's one dude who might have been today. He handed me a box about this big, which would have been about the size of the briefcases if they were put into a box, which they were. So yeah, they find this guy and they, like, forge a note from, like, the heroin deal or users who are basically like, we need more heroin.
Yeah, because he doesn't technically know they're dead. He just assumed.
Yeah, and they just have, like, some random...
Specifically, they do this because the max amount of prison time he would be able to get, because it's technically, I think it's called, like, kidnapping for gain, or, like, that was going to be the charge, it was 15 years. And they're like, no, we need him to be executed or get a life sentence.
Yeah, they really are pushing the capital.
So they wanted to trick him into, like, buying the heroin and, like, going to test it on somebody.
Yeah.
So, like, or I think just buying the heroin and then going back to the house. But they don't expect him to, like, take a detour to, like, the junkie area where, like, everyone that's addicted is there. And he, like, takes a girl and he goes and he pretty much murders her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, fuck, guys, you should have been a little faster. You just let some girl die.
Yeah. So yeah, that happens, and then...
But they die, and then he goes back to that house, and they're all pretty much waiting for him, and they have a final confrontation there, and they shoot him, right?
I don't know. The ending confused me a little bit, because I remember there's the scene where they like follow him to that like street corner because they're like tailing him for a little while during like that whole ordeal. And I swear,
oh yeah, that tailing scene was fun because they had like they had like 30 fucking officers like jumping in back and forth to like kind of like be anonymous by like just walking by, and then they'd switch with somebody.
And it looked like the guy that he met like at the end, like at that like outside of that store, was the main character from the first half.
It was.
Okay.
He was. And they were like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? Like, he went up because the guy didn't know. Like, Gondo didn't know it was him.
Okay.
He was just doing it to fuck
I wasn't sure if it was, like, insinuating that they had, like, worked together and this was part of his brilliant scheme to keep the company.
No, I think it was, like, it was just, like,
okay.
he was just a fucking asshole. He's like, I have all the power.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay. That clears that up. Yeah.
Oh no, they do apprehend him. And then
he tries to kill himself. He tries to take the heroin, but then
they stop him.
Yeah.
And they get, I think, almost all the money back except like the equivalent of like $200 that he had spent on the heroin. And then he's facing the death sentence, and he wants to see Gondo, which is the main character from the first half. And and then they pretty much just talk, and Gondo's like, well, I just work in a different shoe factory now. Yeah. And he's like, I make less money, but I'm happier. Mm-hmm. He's like, so fuck you. And the kidnapper's like, I have no regrets. And he's pretty much like, I saw your house every day, so I conceived of this and he's just like gaining these emotions. He's like, I don't regret anything. I'm not afraid to die. And he like keeps saying that, and he just starts like breaking down crying, and then he like the movie just ends.
Yeah, some guards come and take him out, and then it like ends right there. I was like, oh damn. There's one more thing I wanted to bring up, but I can't remember what it was. It dropped off the tip of my mind. Fuck. What the fuck was it? I don't know. I lost my train of thought. It happens.
So, with this movie, this was the first thing that I noticed, because this was the second movie I watched. I watched Drunken Angel,
this is also the second movie
and then I watched Ron, and then Ikiru, and Seven Samurai was the last one I watched. But this is when I really noticed how strongly Akira Kurosawa can do ensemble staging, as in like staging with like more than 3 characters.
Yeah.
He does it a lot in Seven Samurai as well, but I feel like this one, at least from what I've seen, this one was really when he perfected it. Because, like, there was, even when it was just, like, the guys underneath the table and Gondo's, like, talking on the phone. Like, there's so many, he's able to play so many different scenes out.
Yeah, a really great character block.
Or, like, even, like, they're in the background and you have 3 characters in the foreground. Or like when Gondo's meeting the kidnapper and he doesn't know it's him, and they're in the car. There's just a lot of really great staging. It reminds me a lot of the great staging of shots in Memories of Murder. Like how he is able to play out multiple scenes in the same shot. It's the same thing with this. I was just like, fuck yes. It's also I think Ron is the best example of that, though, because they have like fucking giant ass fucking people.
Yeah.
And it never feels like somebody's like more important in some of these shots. It just feels like, yes, they're all like characters. Even though we never talk to them, they feel like people. I really like Ron.
Ron was pretty good.
Yeah, so what did you give this guy?
I gave this one a 9.
I gave this one a 9 also. This was my third favorite. This was number 1 for you.
This is my favorite out of them. Yeah.
I think I did say that, right? I switched it back to Ron.
Yeah.
Because you
did it
face.
at one point, and I was like, oh, really? And then you were like, oh, no, I'm changing it because you're making a weird fucking face.
God damn it. I'm blowing my nose again.
Oh, right. But yeah, no, High and Low is really good. Like I said earlier, if you haven't seen Parasite, this would make for like a great double feature with that. Yeah, so check this one out. It's 9 from both of us.
Yeah, 9. Oh yeah, did we even give our Well, no, because the last one was an 8, and then did we give Ikiru? I guess was an 8.5 because you gave that an 8.
Yeah, I've
And I
given
gave
them
that
all
an
8s until this one.
Oh, huh. I love Kurosawa.
Yeah, no, he's fucking great. Great director.
You out of here, Joe?
Oopsies.
Everybody say bye to Joe in the podcast. Goodbye.
Bye, Joe.
Bye, Pierre.
Julia,
Julia.
Franchetti.
London's dad, and all the grandmas listening to Screen Weens.
Yeah, hey, grandmas.
Hey, grandmas.
How you doing?
All right, time to talk about Ron.
Ron.
Now, I'm just going to say this. This might be mind-blowing for you, but this might be my favorite movie we've watched. It's either this or Scenes from a Marriage. This movie blew me the fuck away.
Yeah, this is pretty good. I liked this one quite a bit.
Woo! I was like so fucking so this is an adaptation of King Lear, the Shakespeare play. Have you read King Lear?
I have not.
I was not familiar at all with it either, but Kurosawa did like a bunch of Shakespeare
Yeah, I
plays.
know Throne of Blood is like Macbeth.
I believe so, yeah. I think he did a couple. I don't know how many, but I was so invested. Fun fact, the main guy, the old guy,
Yeah.
is Mifune. He was only like 50 during this movie though, so all of that is like
Damn.
makeup.
Shit. Okay.
But that's him. And this might be my favorite role in this because he's fucking crazy in this movie.
Yeah,
he's walking around looking like death. He's like, ugh.
This movie, like, when I was watching it, I wasn't, like, necessarily too crazy. Like, there were definitely sequences in it where I was like, whoa, that sequence was awesome. But for the most part, like, I was like, huh. But, like, by the later part of the movie, I'm like, this movie is so fucking out there and bizarre.
And dense, and the characters. I wrote a big review about this that you should read after this.
Okay.
I'm proud of that review.
But
Is it on your letterbox?
Yeah.
Okay.
fuck this movie. Okay. So we open with, I want to say his name's Ichimonji. He's like the emperor, or I think High Lord is what they call him. Let me check.
Yeah,
This was the second longest film we watched. This was only 2 hours and 40 minutes. But
Yeah. I was surprised that, like, this whole, like, opening sequence, like, kind of took place in, like, the one main setting, and I, like, hit that, like...
Oh, I'm sorry. This wasn't Mifune. This was Nakadai, which, I got him mixed up. This was the detective from High and Low.
Okay.
He
Oh,
was also
okay.
really young at the time,
Yeah.
so it was all
Okay.
makeup. My bad,
Interesting.
but yeah.
But, like, I remember, like, being about 20 minutes in and seeing it was, like, still in the first setting. I'm like, oh, fuck. Really? Shit.
Yeah, they're like just sitting in this field for a long time.
Yeah. A lot happens there.
So, Lord Hidetora Ichimonji. So, Ichimonji is gathered in this field with his 3 sons. Yellow, red, and blue.
Ochiro, is that...
Taro, Jiro, and Saburo.
Okay.
Saburo.
Saburo.
Yeah. So, and he's like, I'm very old.
Yes.
And he says, like, I murdered people.
Yeah.
Like, I've murdered thousands.
There's also two...
There's these 2 guys who, like...
are from different, like, kingdoms.
Yeah, like, close by, and they've pretty much been allies this whole...
They both come there because they want his 3rd son to marry, like, their daughters and basically, like...
Because the other 2 sons are already married.
Yeah. And he's like, of course I'll pick one. But before that, I must announce...
And he's like, I'm done. I want to go live in peace in my little castle. He's going to like, I will live in the outer tower of the main castle. And he's like, I'm giving all of my land, like all my power, to my firstborn son. And he's going to give the second-born son and the third-born son
The second
and
castle.
third castles. But like, they're just going to have that little region while the first son has like all this territory.
And he does this little, like,
And
analogous, like, thing where he's like, break this arrow. And they
And
like
they break
an
it.
arrow. And he's like, break these 3 arrows
And they're
together.
like, they can't. And then the third son comes up and he breaks it against his knee and he's like, anything can break, Dad.
There's always a way to break these 3 arrows. Like, you know.
And people, like, his advisors are like, don't give your son all this power. And even the son, the firstborn son's like, Dad, don't do this. He's like, he seems really sincere. He's like, don't do this. This is a bad idea.
Yeah, no, the first son
Obviously-
is the one who I felt like the most bad for because he was just being like completely manipulated around like everybody around him.
I mean, but then he fucked up. Like
He did
Then he
fuck
became evil. Like,
He did.
I was just
He gave in.
what the fuck?
You know, absolute power corrupts.
Yeah.
So
But he's like, no, we're going to do this. And then his son, his thirdborn son Buro, he's like, Dad, you're being a fucking dumbass. And he's like, I loved you too much. And he's like, I'm banishing you. You are no longer my son. He's like, what the fuck?
and then his like counselor or like
His counselor, can't remember his name, but he's like, don't do this, sir.
and he's like, fuck you, you can go too. He's like, I'm supposed to speak against you when you make irrational decisions. He's like, well, I don't give a shit. You're banned as well.
Yeah, so they pretty much go off together. I forgot, before this, they were all kind of sitting in a circle, and they were like drinking tea, and he falls asleep like
Yeah.
right at the beginning.
And then he
while
has
they have like a jester
Yeah.
who's the fool in the King Lear adaptation, played by this man named Pita, who's apparently like the most famous gay Japanese person just in the world. Gay!
Ah!
L'chaim.
Oh, to life.
L'chaim. L'chaim to life.
Takes a wedding to make us say, let's live another day. Drink L'chaim to life. Okay, anyway.
This movie's not to life.
Yeah, this movie's the opposite.
We could have sung that to Ikiru.
We could have.
Fuck.
Damn.
Put it in. No.
Edit it into
No, that'd
slice
be
it over.
lying.
So the king falls asleep and then he like wakes up, and this is all like before his announcement.
Yeah, he wakes up and he's like, I had a vision, and then they go and he talks
Yeah,
about it.
and basically his dream was like, I was wandering the world and I was alone and wandering through barren fields and I screamed and no one would reply. I was alone. And then I heard your voice, to his first son. It drew me back. And now I'm leaving. Yeah, then he goes into his whole spiel and then banishes them. So basically, Saburo and the like counselor advisor guy are like riding away, and they notice some horses are following them, and they're like, "Oh shit, those are probably coming for us." And while this is going on, Saburo is basically like, "You shouldn't have quit. That was really irresponsible of you. I have nothing but my father's best interests in mind. The only reason why I called him foolish because I think he made a bad decision here, and I want what's best for him." And he's like, "Oh well, how nice of you." And basically, this like dude comes up who is for like one of the other kingdoms, and he's basically like, "Look, I was just gonna ride out of here, but I liked your guys' character, and I still want you to marry my daughter. So come back with me, and you can like rule partially in my kingdom or whatever." He's like, "Okay," but the advisor denies it. He's like, I have to stay near the king, make sure he's well."
Mm-hmm.
So he rides off, and then Saburo like leaves with this other guy, and then shit hits the fan, because basically immediately the king doesn't realize, or I'm gonna start calling him Lord because that's what they call him. The Lord doesn't realize. I guess he didn't like fully consider what he was doing because he starts getting mad when
Tato.
Tato, I couldn't remember his name. Tato's wife has people like line up for her when she walks down the street, and he's like, "What the fuck? Why is that happening?" And they're like, "Well, I mean, it kind of makes sense now, seeing as she's like queen essentially."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh yeah." So basically, like, he sets up and he goes to talk. He's like, basically like, "What the fuck? I still have all the power, essentially. And
Well,
he's
he-
like, well, actually,
He kills somebody first.
he does, doesn't he?
So he still has a personal guard of 30 soldiers.
Yeah, he's still
Plus
got
this
a lot of
jester
power.
guy. He's living in the outside tower, and there's like another group and they're all pretty much like singing a song that's kind of making fun of the Lord. So then the like servants that are the soldiers
That's
that are
right.
like for the new king are like, we're gonna go beat the shit out of these guys, and specifically they're gonna go beat up like the jester person.
Yeah, one of
And-
them's about to kill him, and then the king... or the Lord-
Kiwami, I believe, is the jester guy's name.
Yeah.
And they're about to kill him, and then suddenly an arrow just sticks in his back, and it zooms in on him, and he's like holding the bow, he's like in the window, and I'm like, that's a great shot.
God, the old person makeup on him is great.
Yeah, because
Like-
I'm gonna check how old he was.
Yeah, compare this to, like, the fucking makeup job in, like, Prometheus, which was made, like, fucking what?
Yeah,
Oh,
he
I
was
guess,
like 53, and he looks like 90.
Yeah. And it's
He
like,
looks
holy
like he's, especially later on in the movie, he looks like he's dead. It looks like he's not alive. And
Yeah.
He's just walking around.
But yeah, so basically, like, they force him to, like, basically in writing admit to do the same thing that he, like, confessed on the mountain, where he's like, yeah, basically just giving all my power to my firstborn son. So he has to, like, do it in writing and, like, seal it with his blood. He's pissed off. And he's like, God, I fucking hate this. I'm gonna go live with my...
I'm leaving. I'm going to live with my secondborn.
So he goes, but the secondborn, his advisors are like, look,
We gotta fucking kill the firstborn.
they're like, we think you have what it takes to be, like, the leader here. But if you don't think that, then we'll just basically abandon you. So he's like, all right, I got what it takes to be leader. Tell me what I gotta do. And so, like, they're like, all right, well, we gotta, like, somehow get your dad's, like, guards and shit over to our side. How do they do that? By forbidding them to enter their castle, of course. Because basically...
Well, because the firstborn had sent
Yeah.
messages. He's like, if anyone helps my father, I will kill you.
Yeah, so basically he's like, look, Dad, if it was just you, I'd take you in, but I can't let your men in. So the dad's like, God damn it, you're doing the same thing the first one is. You're all just betraying me. So
He does talk to his wife first.
Yeah,
What is
they
that?
have that little bit where he's like, why aren't you mad? I killed your entire fucking family.
Yeah.
You should hate me.
Sue.
Yeah, and she's like, well, I should hate you, but I don't. Because I basically found Buddha.
Yeah. She's just like, I forgive you kind of thing.
Yeah.
She's literally like...
She's like, I probably did something.
She's just
in
the
past.
opposite of Kata, which is the other
Yeah.
wife. The first.
Because they both come from families that were, like, slaughtered and married into the family. And one of them obviously, like, forgives him. And
others
one
went
wants
fucking crazy.
fucking hardcore revenge. And is arguably perhaps maybe the main villain of the movie.
I would say she's the main villain. I wouldn't say she's like the worst person. Like, it's interesting because
her motivation is
like
definitely
all of the
understandable.
most of the people in this movie are awful people.
Yeah.
Like, they're warlords. Like, but I was like, how the fuck did this movie have me feel so much empathy for this old man? You know,
Yeah,
it's really interesting.
You can tell that he's definitely like.
Because he does
coming to
learn and he
terms
does
with a
feel,
lot of
yeah.
it.
Because he has like visions where he like feels bad about things.
Yeah, he definitely like starts thinking he's like dead in hell for most of the movie.
Yeah, because once he like he gets abandoned by both his sons, and then even like a random village, all the villagers had left.
Yeah, all the peasants left, and he's like, "What the fuck?
And then-
Go burn down their huts."
one villager comes back and he's like, "Listen, they all fled the mountains, so they didn't have to."
Isn't it the advisor who he had banished? He's like, "What? It's you?"
No, because the advisor went. I thought the advisor did go with.
No, he's
Oh, no, he did
he
stay.
stayed, and
Yeah.
then this is where he meets up with him.
Yeah,
And he's
he's
basically like, "Look, your first son, like I'm basically
He
coming
said-
back."
He said he would kill the village.
He's like, "Please, just go to this other kingdom and live with your third son, Saburo." And he's like, "What? No, I couldn't face Saburo."
and then he kind of just has like he's just freaking out, and they go to the third castle though.
Yeah, they're like, fuck it, we'll just go stay in the third castle because we don't have anywhere else to go, and perhaps.
Which is what they want. Which is what the first guy wanted.
Yeah, and this might be one of the greatest scenes in cinema history. This
I have so much to
sequence.
Once we're done talking about this movie in general, I have a lot to talk about this scene in particular.
Yeah, this was the thing that I was like, whoa.
Yeah, this is like a big action scene where they're in the castle, and then there are two forces like just trying to kill them, pretty much.
Yeah, basically, like the two brothers' forces kind of come together.
Kill all the King's Guard. They don't want to kill him because it's in a lot of Asian cultures, like royalty. It's like illegal to kill other royalty.
Mm-hmm.
There's a good movie from South Korea called The Throne, I think it's called, where Song Kang-ho's this emperor and his son had like staged a coup, but it failed, and he locks his son in a box to starve because that's technically not killing him in the eyes of the law. And it's just literally about him sitting in a box dying for 7 days.
Oh, delightful.
It's a good one. It's not great or anything, but it's good. It's a little too long. But it's like the same thing. So they want to like make him kill himself pretty much.
Okay. What was a bit of a time? We watched it for one of our Song Kang-ho days. I barely remember it. It's one of the ones that didn't really stick with me. But we watched like a period piece that had Song Kang-ho. I think I might have been falling asleep when we watched it.
Was it The Age of Shadows?
It might have been. He was like in like military.
Yeah, I thought you liked that movie a lot.
I
thought you gave it like an 8.
I might have. I barely remember it. I need to rewatch it.
That movie got better the second watch for me, just because it's a fucking dense ass movie. That might be why you thought. I thought it was a little boring the first time as well because it's so dense. But the second time, I really enjoyed it.
That was also around the point when my work schedule had changed, and I was having a hard time staying awake whenever I came over.
Ah, yes.
But anyway, back to Rom.
So pretty much just in this castle. They're in the middle of the castle, and there's forces from both sides invading. And I love the color scheme of this film. Because, like, literally all the forces each of the suns has a distinct color. And all the forces will wear that same color, or they have flags or something. Yeah. So it's nice because it's not overbearing, but it's nice visual cues to not get too, like, what the fuck's going on? Mm-hmm. So this, like, red and yellow forces are fighting, like, literally just these, like, 30 guys in this castle. And while this is happening, the second in command for the red guy, the second son, he shoots the first son. Yeah. And he's like, oh my god, a stray bullet hit him! And he's, like, holding the gun still. And the guy looks over and he, like, throws it. He's like, yeah, I don't know what happened. Because that had obviously been what they wanted, but...
Yeah. So,
they kill all of the guys, and then they... the dad comes out, and he's just like... He tries to kill himself, but his sword had gotten broken from, like, blocking something. And then he had no swords. There were no other swords, so he's just like, I can't die. And he goes insane. And he starts just wandering off into the desert.
This sequence, because, like, you see, like, the inside, and it's, like, chaos, because there's just, like,
there's
his guards are dying for him. There are, like, women, like, diving out in front of him. There are also women just committing, like, seppuku, just, like...
Because they're like, we don't want to be captured or anything, you know.
They're like, there's a straight-up shot where it just enters a room, and you just see two women just stab each other in the stomach.
There's a shot outside where there's a guy just holding his severed arm, screaming... Yeah. And I was like, oh my god!
And there's, like, lots of shots where you're, like, following him as he, like, goes up the stairs and shit. Like, it's good. Good filmmaking.
Yeah. Yeah, this is one of my it's one of my favorite scenes ever. Yeah. In anything.
I was like, holy shit. Like, what the
But fuck? He wanders off, and his second-born, like, was wanting to kill him, but he couldn't. Yeah. Not just because, you know, it's illegal or whatever, but because he just couldn't bring himself to do it.
Yeah. He also kind of gets batted around between, like, his advisor and
and Kata soon.
Yeah, because basically, immediately after like this whole sequence, because the dad like walks away, and now he has to go like present like, hey, you know, your husband died.
And
and
he takes his armor, his brother's armor, and wears it back.
Yeah, and obviously his brother's wife, what's her name?
Kaede,
Kaede,
I believe.
Kaede. Well, she's basically like, yeah, I can see that you're really broken up about it, seeing as you wore his armor back. He's like, oh, this was, you know, I thought my brother would like want me to wear his armor back, but here, I'll take it off, and takes it off, and then basically,
He becomes the ruler pretty much.
he becomes the ruler, and she starts like coming by to see him, and she
comes
basically
by and
like
she tries to kill him. Or she like holds the knife and she's like, I don't fucking care that he's dead.
yeah, she cuts.
I want the power.
She's like, I fucking want to. You guys aren't gonna fucking push me out of my father's kingdom. God damn it! This was his goddamn castle, and fuck you. So she like cuts his neck a little bit, and he's like,
And then she licks it.
yeah, and then they fuck, and then she's basically like,
I'm the queen now. And
Yeah.
she's like, you have to go kill your wife, or you have to go send for your wife to be murdered.
And he's like-
bring back the head.
he's like, how about a divorce? And she's like, no,
She cannot survive.
I can't dare having shared you with someone who's alive. So they bring in his advisor, and they're like, go cut off her head and put it in some salt.
So
he's
that
like,
it like stays fresh.
and he's like, no. And then she goes, oh, you're capable. You'll do it. So he comes back like the next day, and he's got like a fake fox head in there.
And he's like, yeah, I guess she was just a fox in sheep's clothing or whatever.
Yeah, and she's like,
And then she's like, and then he's like, just like you.
and she's basically like,
This
look,
guy's got some big ass balls.
He
He's like,
does.
oh, fuck that. He's like, fuck you.
because the two of them are in a power struggle because they're both trying to puppeteer
Yeah.
the second son, who is honestly quite an idiot.
Yeah.
He's just letting these guys like use him like a hand puppet.
And then while this is going on, PETA and the advisor had found like the father just like wandering around because they had not gone to the castle. They're like, that's a bad idea.
Yeah,
And it was a bad idea.
it was.
And he's kind of going crazy. They find a small little hut with a blind man inside who is Sue's brother.
Who they thought was dead.
Yeah, and he's like, you're forgiving me even though I gouged out your eyes to let you live? And
He's like,
I have to.
yeah, I have Buddha.
And then he plays the flute.
Yes. He's like, this is the only thing that brings me joy in life now.
Yeah.
And it's like,
And
oh.
he's like, and he's going crazy. He like falls out of the. He's pretty much just goes insane by this point.
Yeah, he has like small moments of clarity.
But for the
here
rest of
and
the
there.
movie, he's mostly just like, ah!
So, yeah, basically, anytime they bring up Saburo, he like freaks the fuck out. He's like, no!
Saburo!
I can't face him!
Yeah.
And then he like kind of like backs away usually. And like, so while this is going on, his advisor's like, oh, I'll just, I'm gonna go get them. And they're gonna come pick him up. That seems like the easiest way to go about this. So he goes, he's like, gesture, you know, I leave the Lord in your hands. Take good care of him.
Yeah.
And it does for a little while.
Yeah, Kiyoami. Kiyoami, and there's some. I think Kiyoami's like might be the best character in this movie. Kiyoami says a lot of really cool things, and I think embodies the like themes of the film pretty well.
Yeah. But yeah, so basically, it's kind of like that for a little while.
They go to like these ruins of a castle, and he's like, "Where am I?" And you're like, "Paradise."
He's like, "No, I've been here before," and he like looks up, and since the second son's advisor had brought like back the fake fox head, his wife, Sheo, what's her name? Sue.
Had been running.
Yeah, she's been on the run. And when he's like, where is this place? And his gesture's like paradise. He kind of like looks up and he's like, no, there's Sue and her brother. What the?
Because they had been going, they had like run away together with like this old lady, and he had forgotten his flute, and he's like, I must go back. And the old lady's like, no, I'll go get it, and she goes to get it, and then Sue, like they're waiting a long time for her, and they're like, where the fuck is he? So Sue's like, okay, you stay right here. I'll be right back.
And he's like, no, I'd rather have you than my flute. Please, I just don't want to be alone anymore. She's like, here, hold this picture of Buddha, then you won't be alone. And just leaves, and then we find out slightly later.
Well, that's like the one of the final shots of the film. Is him just like standing there.
Well, yeah, that
and
part.
then it cuts to her dead.
Before like the final sequence, though, we like see that like the head gets delivered in the bag of salt, and he opens it up, and he's like, "Oh, what the fuck?
What the fuck is going on?"
So basically,
but in that ruins, they get into like an argument. The old man and Kiyomi.
Kiyomi's like, if you don't like
there's a great like kind of sky shot that's looking down on like the staircase. He's at the top and Kiyomi's at the bottom. I don't know if you remember that scene, but
not
that shot I really like. But then he just kind of like runs off. Like old man runs off.
Yeah,
Kiyomi like
there's like a bit where
loses him.
Yeah, Kiyomi's like, if you don't like it, you can just jump then. So he just jumps off the side of this fucking, like, mountain. And
he
lands.
He lands in, like, the sand. And he's just like, hello.
He's like, I'm in hell. And then he just runs away.
Kiyomi's like, wait, what are you doing?
Hey, get back here. And then later, the, like, other kingdom, like, shows up with...
Sanburo shows
up.
With the advisor being like, okay, let's... And the second son rides up to him. He's like, what the fuck are you doing here? He's like, I need my dad. And the second son does not want that to happen because if he feels like he'll lose all the power if his dad lives. Like, he needs his dad dead, pretty much.
Yeah.
But he, like, doesn't want to just attack another, like, state. Meanwhile, there are the two other factions. They just show up on the hillsides, and they're just, like, staring. And the advisor's like, if you attack, they will attack, and we will lose.
He's like, we should be fine if we just chill here. So, yeah, that's going on.
They do let Sanburo in, and he goes to find his dad, and then, like, immediately after they leave, like, they attack his forces, who are, like, hiding in the woods, though. And they, like, wreck them.
Yeah. And then, yeah, pretty much from here on out is, like, the climax.
Yeah, Sanburo, like, finds his dad, and he's like, Dad, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said it so harshly. I love you. I'm not mad at you. And the dad's like, oh, what? And he's like, are you real? And he's still, like, freaking out. But
yeah. So they get on a horse, and they start riding away. All this going on. And then, I forget who does it, but somebody executes, the first guy's wife who transitions to the second guy's wife.
Kaeda. Or Kaeda.
Kaeda.
Yeah, so she fucking dies.
Yeah, because basically she reveals, they're like, I think it's the advisor, because he comes in and he's like, look! Oh my god, do you know what you've done by having this behead job happen? You've destroyed this kingdom. And she's like, good, that was precisely my plan. Fuck you guys, you destroyed my kingdom. So, immediately he's like, and just like fucking like just cuts her head off, presumably. We just see him strike and then blood spray on the wall. We don't really see her body. And then... Sanburo, the advisor, the jester, are all, like, heading out. And then, like, the dad's like, Sanburo, all I want to do is I want to just find a nice quiet place where we can be alone, and I want to talk to you. That's all I want. I want to beg for your forgiveness. I want to just connect with my son. He's like, that's nice, Dad. Oh!
And then he gets shot.
Yeah.
And I was just like, no.
And he falls off the horse, and then the dad quickly follows, and he's like, no! And then he dies a dramatic death
Yeah,
where...
pretty much has like a heart attack.
Yeah. And then, yeah.
And then the attacking forces come in and kill Jiro and everyone.
Yeah, and they're like, we did it! We won! Oh, they're dead. I guess we kind of didn't win.
Yeah. And then everything's just left in like chaos. And then it cuts back to Sue, who's dead without a head. And then her brother's just standing there. He like tries to walk forward and it's like a cliff. So he's like, oh, and he drops the picture of Buddha.
Yep.
And then the movie ends.
Yep.
It's a very sad movie.
I love how he always gives bleak endings. Bleak or bittersweet. Yeah. No, this movie. I mean, I thought the plot was kind of just, pretty typical, especially seeing as it's based on, like, King Lear. But I really liked the characters and the production and, like, all the set pieces of this movie. Like,
They built the entire castle for that scene in the middle.
Yeah.
And they didn't use any miniatures or anything. They built an entire castle for it.
That doesn't surprise me. And it's amazing.
The film had 1,400 extras.
Damn.
And they had 200 horses. Some of them they had to ship from America because they didn't have enough just lying around.
Makes sense.
Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah, no, this movie was fucking nuts.
The Kagemusha, he had said, Akira Kurosawa referred to his previous film, Kagemusha, as a dress rehearsal for this film.
Damn.
He spent 10 years of storyboarding every shot in the film as paintings. Like, he painted every shot of the film. And apparently he, like, was kind of losing his eyesight by this time. So by the time he was actually filming it, his eyesight was, like, almost gone. So he had to, like, have assistants help set up the shots with the paintings kind of thing.
I wonder if, like, those paintings are, like...
The paintings, apparently, like, the published version of the screenplay has all the paintings inside of it as well. So I need to get that screenplay.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm going to have to, like, look into that, because that sounds amazing.
They fabricated 1,400 suits of armor.
Damn. Yeah, what a movie. It's a real good one.
And then he wrote the film over, like, 10 years. And then a lot of the film is done, like, in long shots. I don't know if you noticed. There's, like, almost no, like, close-ups. There's, like, except, like, when she sees the fox head, most of it is just, like, far away. And that's, like, an ensemble staging. Like, the first scene, really, like, when they're all together, or, like, when he's about to reveal, hey, I'm giving this stuff. There's, like, so many people, and I love that, like, all the shots in this movie are so good. And I personally really like the story. Like, it's a little basic, but, like, the themes are really potent, and I feel like I haven't read King Lear, but I'm not the biggest fan of Shakespeare, but I feel like Kurosawa is really good at, like, transforming a work into his own.
Yeah, Shakespeare, he's got really, really good stories. It's the delivery of the stories, which are good, or they can be, but they're...
I think Shakespeare's good, I just don't think he's, like, amazing.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, no, this film...
I gave this one a 10.
I gave this one a 9.
So this was your second favorite, then? Mm-hmm. Yeah, this movie fucking blew me away.
Yeah.
I was like, wow!
Wow! Yeah, so it's another director deep dive down.
Also, like, pretty much all the characters are based on historic people in Japan as well. He's pretty accurate with, like, making characters that are based on other things.
Mm-hmm.
He's a fucking genius.
Yeah, no, he was great.
All right. Well, that was Kurosawa. You should watch all those. Like, even Drunken Angel, which was my least favorite, I thought was really good still.
Yeah, I like Drunken Angel quite a bit.
So you got Classic next week, right?
Yeah.
So what are we watching?
I don't know what year it's from, but it's called Bicycle Thieves.
Oh, dude, I was just talking about watching Bicycle Thieves
Oh, were you?
yesterday with my buddy.
Oh, nice.
I've been meaning to watch it, so.
Well, there you go. That's my pick. I think it's from like 56, maybe?
48.
Oh, 48. I'm off.
The
by
same
quite
year
a few years.
as Drunken Angel.
Oh.
Maybe they're the same movie.
Maybe.
It's a pretty short film, too. It's only an hour and a half. Criterion Collection, or Criterion Channel, Canopy both have them available, or you can rent them from anywhere you rent movies. My pick is going to be called, it's a film called The Insult from 2017. It's a Lebanese film.
Okay.
It is available to watch on Amazon Prime or Canopy. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for today. Welcome to the new year. Akira Kurosawa, thanks.
Yeah. Launching it off. Good.
You got anything to say before we sign off?
Yeah. Check out Akira Kurosawa, some of his other films. He's got I think like most of them are distributed through Criterion. I think it's only like
pretty much.
Like Ron isn't.
Ron's not, I actually just bought that on like Vudu just so I have it on digital copy whenever because I'm like, I feel like I could sense it when I was about to watch this. I'm like, I think this is going to be the 10th. And it was. So I have a digital copy now. And I'm like, yes. But yeah, pretty much probably like 70% of his films are available on the Criterion streaming service.
Yeah.
And tell your grandma to listen to the podcast.
Yeah, she probably likes Kurosawa, maybe.
Yeah, probably.
Assuming that she's not racist against Japanese people.
Yeah. If your grandma's Japanese, tell her, how's it going?
Yeah.
Okay, bye everybody.
Adios.